Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spawncast, episode 303. We actually had a lot of stuff happen this week, so there's quite a bit to go over. Joining me tonight, a nice crew here, we got Max, Dreamcast guy. How we doing, Max?
Good. Sleepless. I beat every game that came out this week, which means I have not slept much.
There's a lot of stuff that came out this week.
Yes, I beat Forspoken. That took a long time. Then I beat Dead Space. That took a long time. And then I've been playing a bunch of Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. We have MVG.
Hello. It's great to be here. I beat Plague Tale Requiem this week. I beat Crisis Core, so I'm catching up on the backlog.
Crisis Core.
Yeah,
nice,
I liked it.
nice.
Liked it. It was a good game. Good
It was
game.
good, right?
And
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
And Goldeneye, of course, and Dead Space. Big week in games for me this
A
week.
lot of stuff happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lot of
no
stuff.
mention of Forspoken. It's all right. We'll move on.
No, I didn't say
we got Evan. Evan's here.
Yep.
Evan working on that channel. I see it, Evan. I see it over there.
Yep.
I see it over there.
I watched. I have no idea what the hell is happening, bro. I am confused as hell.
That's what I do.
Okay. Is there a way to like understand it more, or is there like a guide?
I like the
I'm-
editing though.
I'm
on
slowly
point,
putting out a bunch of videos in a guide format for the game, but you know,
Okay.
one guy, highly edited. It's not.
It's
not
really good it's really good editing. I mean, that's
Do you
what
have
I'm
any-
watching.
Evan, do you have any haters in the chat in the comments yet?
Not yet.
Actually, you don't paint like this.
I did have a guy point
Yeah.
out that I missed a rule, and I mean, I'm fine with that because you got to remember it going
you do-
forward.
You gonna do any like time lapse painting tutorials?
Maybe.
Show you,
I
like
j-
painting
that'd
it
be
really
cool.
fast. That'd be cool.
I just bought a rig, which sucks because like you got all like the stuff that you already have and the things
Oh.
you've worked on, and
That
it's
looks-
like,
that looks
man, I
fancy.
didn't record any of this properly.
You
so-
should break out the webcam, just record it for a
Yeah,
couple
man.
hours, turn it
I
into
love-
like a 6-minute thing.
No,
I
yeah.
love those videos.
Dude, Evan is like more creative than all of us combined.
I know.
True.
I mean, I
like
knew
times
this.
10.
I knew this day
My
one.
bank account does not reflect it.
just
Well, that's
just do that
fine.
with like some lo-fi music with it, and you just kind of watch it come together. That would be
Death
cool. 'Cause
metal, death
I'm
metal all
not
the
gonna
time.
paint it. I'm not gonna paint it, but I'll watch someone else paint it if it looks cool. Let's see. We got OJ Player Essence here.
I just want to say that the N64 is disqualified from the
Whoa.
GOAT conversation. It's
Whoa,
today,
whoa.
this week.
Oh,
It's disqualified. And
Jeez.
GoldenEye's
Damn.
release proves it, and I will tell you guys why when we talk about it. Disqualified.
Okay. Okay.
Like LeBron James, disqualified from the GOAT conversation. Well, he's not. I'm just joking around. But yeah.
And we got Nate. Nate's here.
I am enjoying quality gaming this week.
I thought you were playing Goldeneye.
Yeah. What?
I am.
Oh,
Quality.
the hate.
The Goldeneye, the
Man.
single stick setup on a dual analog controller. Okay.
It feels terrible.
But why would it feel terrible? But why would it feel terrible? N64 is fantastic.
Everything's on the left side.
N64 is one of the
Playing it
best.
with the
Why
normal
would it
thing.
feel terrible. What's the problem
know,
here?
Stop
N64
throwing my
is
own
great,
words
right?
in my face. I still love the Nintendo 64, but they could have programmed this in a way that wasn't ass.
whoa! Disrespect left and right. What's going on over here? Damn.
So this week we did have the Xbox Direct. Had a bunch of games release. So there is quite a bit to go over here. But do we want to start with a Discord question, Evan?
All right. What do you think will be the next Resident Evil remake?
The next
Yeah.
I mean, it should be Code Veronica.
Code
but it won't
Veronica,
be.
hopefully.
Yeah, I do sincerely think it's going to be Code Veronica, and then
Well,
I think
well-
we're going to get Resident Evil 9 and then Resident Evil 5 remake.
They're going to do Resident Evil 5. They're just going to skip Code Veronica.
Probably.
I just don't think they will. I think that they're going to completely redo Code Veronica because
if they
it's a
did-
part of the timeline, but it's a really weird game.
What if they did Zero?
I think Zero is really hated. I just
Is
think that it is. They did the remaster of it recently, like just a couple of years ago, that I think fixed the controls a lot. But Zero is really, really, really hated.
But do you
because
think they
the
would pick it up?
backtracking and stuff?
But do you think they would pick it up as a way to be like, let's fix this?
The
Yeah.
redemption arc.
Well, if they did, I think they should make it co-op because that one of the main criticisms people have is that in Zero you played two different characters, Rebecca Chambers and Billy, the convict, and you had to keep switching between them. So doing one puzzle as yourself, handing a puzzle piece back and forth, was a pain in the ass. If they made it actually co-op, I would love to see a remake of that.
Okay. You have another one, Evan?
Thoughts on the Last of Us show on HBO?
Love it.
Extremely good.
Love
I
it.
mean, we're what, 2 episodes in? I thought it's been pretty good. The ending of the last episode was a little strange.
Oh, like zombie kisses? What the?
That part. I'm like, that's weird. Okay, I guess. I think I liked the game's adaptation of that character. I'll say, their exit is what I'll say. I think I like the game's adaptation of that exit as opposed to the shows.
Well, they said, because I've been watching the like making of each episode, and they said that like in the game the military is much more present, but they thought that it didn't make sense in a TV show. Like if they're running from zombies, that makes sense, but if you're running from the military that have like helicopters and bombs, they would catch up to you in 10 minutes.
I like how they have it structured though, because they do pull from things like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, where they show a part that happened in the past at the beginning that relates to the theme of the episodes. They do a good job with that. So I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes, but they still have the rest of the season to go. So we'll see.
And now season 2 is confirmed.
Yeah, that'll be that. I want to see that. I got to see how that gets received, but we will see. Let's see. What do we want to start with tonight? We can start with Goldeneye.
Rip the Band-Aid off, John.
Let's start with Goldeneye. Goldeneye 007 released from the 64, released onto the Switch and onto the Xbox. And it's got mixed receptions online. We needed to break out a diagram on how to play it on the Switch, but the controls are weird on the Switch, and the visuals and stuttering on the Xbox don't make any sense. So it is as MVG said, a mess. It's on his channel. It's in the title. Goldeneye 007 is a mess.
Yep.
Nate loves it though.
It's still a good game.
Sean lost his mind on camera over it, and Nate's like, it's good.
You've told us about your love life,
A lot of
Nate.
Hyperbole. That's all I'm saying.
You've told us about your love life, Nate. We know you're attracted to messes. Come on.
Whoa! Damn.
We couldn't even get Sean to play online at all. And what did he do? All he did was talk about the online for Goldeneye for weeks building up to this. And as soon as I think he's played this game for all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, long enough to get footage.
The controls, I think immediately he's out.
He died playing, like, he died on the second or third enemy in the damn level. And then he rage quit.
I will say this. These people that have been shilling the N64, I'm here to troll you guys tonight. You guys have been talking about how great N64, how it's better than GameCube. GameCube, all you need to do is you can't mess up the controls. If it's the same exact controls, you can go back and play.
How are those GameCube games controlling on the Switch?
They're not there, but that's okay. The point
Mario Sunshine's just
that's
fine.
okay.
I hear Sunshine's not bad.
The point is that you guys have nostalgia goggles on, and when you go back and you play it the same way that it was played back then, even if you have an N64 controller,
it plays beautifully.
You don't like it. No, I'm not saying you, Nate. I'm saying
beautifully.
Sean, and
Sean didn't use the N64 controller. That's the problem.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. He doesn't like. He wants it to control like Call of Duty. That's what he wants it to control.
And it does. That's the weird thing. It's the controls on Xbox are great.
That's what I'm saying. He wants it, and it's rose tinted. These controls, the games are not that fantastic. You guys have exposed yourselves. Because N64 right now, look at this. You guys are all upset. This is one of the greatest games, right?
Right now, the way Sean reacted to GoldenEye, if he was to play Metroid Prime with a GameCube controller, he'd say, "Why doesn't the other analog stick move the gun?"
No, because it has a lock on. No, because it has a lock.
I don't know. I made a video today saying they ruined GoldenEye because I played it on Xbox and I played it on Switch, and I feel like both versions have problems. I feel like MVG's technical breakdown. I watched your video this morning, MVG, and it's great. Just showing the fact that textures are there's gaps in the environment and stuff. Character models are not loading properly. Like no matter where you play this doesn't feel correct. Something feels off.
So. I never really said this in my video, but I actually think the Switch version is the better version.
Correct.
Of the two, even with the controls. So now for me, I'm fine with the controls because I grew up playing an N64. I'm good with the control system. Even on the Switch with the Joy-Cons, I know how to play the game. But the difficulty in recommending the Switch version out of the box is if you load it up and you haven't really experienced those types of controls before, you're gonna just be like, how do I play this game? And I think that's the difficult part. I mean, you can go in and configure it and change things around and get a decent control scheme out of it. But I think the point is, for me, and really this is the only real criticism I have with the NSO version, which I think is the better version because it's more accurate, it's more faithful to the original game. But I think they should have just baked in a default control system where it's like, anyone that's a random or just a casual can play this game, at least start figuring out how to move around in the game. That's the only thing I really have a criticism about on the Switch version. The video that I made today was really more about the Xbox version, which I think honestly is, again, it's a bit of a mess, right? There's just a bunch of small niggly issues, and it compounds itself into this version of the game, which you can just tell wasn't really made with a big enough budget at the end of the day. I think they just did the absolute minimum to get this game out the door on Xbox.
This was that situation of, we got to rebuild it, but we don't want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's a shame because that remake, if that remake didn't leak and we just had that glimpse of it, I think we'd be like, it'd been cool. We've played the remake, so we know it's good. And it's like, it's right there. Just get that.
Well, the other thing I did in my video today is like, there's emulators that can play N64 games at 60. And I showed off one of the homebrew emulators, 1964. It runs at 60 frames without any issues. So I just wonder, why didn't we get that? But again, I think it goes back to, I believe they wanted to balance these releases and have some type of parity between them where, no one version could excel in areas where the other one couldn't. In other words, one couldn't be 60 frames and the other one be 30. Like, I feel like there was a conscious decision made, and I don't know why, and I'm speculating that they just wanted to keep it as baseline as possible. Only have a small amount of enhancements on the Xbox side to kind of keep it in parity with the Switch version.
I mean, Code Mystics went to Twitter and they said they could have done 60, but when they had it running at 60, it introduced a number of problems.
You think like screen tearing or something like that, or something more?
What if animations were tied to it?
The animations of the logic.
Could be the animation. They didn't go into any extra detail as to what the problems were. But if their default was to go to 30 FPS over 60, there was a reason behind it. So, I mean, I would defer to their expertise on the matter. They were the developers behind the project. So whatever reasoning there was for it to be done, there seems as though there was a reason. And I don't think like Nintendo had any say in of, we need parity between these releases.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think that'd be the case. Otherwise, it wouldn't even have attempted or advertised like high resolution or 4K or any of that.
I mean, you said 30 frames. It's at 30 on there.
No, you're probably right in what you say, but then the question is, well, why didn't they get the source code from the unreleased XBLA version at that point and start using that?
Well, I mean, I think that introduces a kind of a different ripple to the conversation of, if you did have the unreleased XBLA version and you still needed Nintendo's permission for this release to even happen, Nintendo could have looked at that and said, we're not giving permission to that, because that also would then add another layer where, how would they add the XBLA version to Switch? It would have to be a standalone release.
Yes, it would not be with NSO. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when that happens, would that mean Microsoft is publishing that release?
Well, that's, I mean, you would think so. You would think that would be. Yeah.
So now all of a sudden Nintendo's going to approve a version that would be a standalone release, not only on Xbox, but also Switch, where Microsoft would potentially be publishing it, and they're going to make the majority of the money. Whereas what we ended up, the solution is, this is going to Game Pass and Rare Replay, and it's going to NSO. There is no standalone version. No one can buy it. There is no extra revenue exchanging hands in this case. Whatever deal was struck, this is the money between the parties involved, and that's all there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, at least it exists. I will say that on modern platforms, but it's like, what could have been with this if everyone was fine and could agree on basically money?
I'm still enjoying it. Like I beat it on the Xbox and I'm going through it on the Switch now.
It's a lot. Isn't it easy with that? I will say the dual analog setup makes it incredibly easy. Like you were just,
it almost feels a little off to me. You know what I mean? Like it's not really meant for that type of control system.
The auto aim is crazy as it is on it. So I guess if you turn that off, it would make it harder. But you have auto aim on and you have both analog sticks rolling. It's you just roll through everyone. And it's pretty hilarious because even like the second level, like the enemies just keep coming. You can pile up enemies in like the hallway because you just mow them down constantly.
I wasn't even strafing mine. I was just going through them.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's like I feel like an auto headshots. Everyone takes one hit and they die anyways. They turn so slow. The NPCs are like, "Oh no, it's James Bond."
And the online is great too because you can still screen look at everyone. So it's funny. I don't know. It is like the old days for that. Someone said, "Look, you can." I saw online. Someone said you can make it so it's only one screen. You just got to use the zoom feature on the Switch. Like, well, why wouldn't you want to see everyone's screen? Don't you want to, like, that's the point.
Part
you
of the game.
You want to cheat. You want to look at their screen and pretend like you didn't.
That's part of the strategy.
Gonna see the gun. That's it. Just
yeah. It's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you screen look?
Well, you'd have to have like a pact with everybody else. Like, hey guys, you're all zooming it in.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah,
yeah. I would never. I would lie. Instantly.
Once someone starts losing, they're zooming right out.
Oh yeah,
that's not happening. Yeah, we have diagrams and charts to set up your controls on the Switch. That's there. It's like a 8-step process and bar graphs and charts and stuff. I thought we didn't like that for Anthem, but it's fine for the Switch and setting up the.
That's hyperbole. That's hyperbole.
All I know is apparently you could take the right Joy-Con and the left Joy-Con and just switch hands.
It's very weird.
Works. I mean, in handheld mode too. You just need some duct tape.
It simplifies the controller swap. You put it on 2.4 in the game settings. You use.
Oh, we're bringing decimals into this. Okay.
You then swap the Joy-Cons into the opposite hand, and it controls exactly like having two N64 controllers in your hand, like back in 1997.
Psycho.
You can do that if you want to replicate that. You could also buy 2 N64 controllers from Nintendo and do it, or you could use 2 Pro controllers, however you want to do it.
I synced up the Xbox controller and it just worked on the Xbox. It was weird.
There have never been.
How's the online on that game?
There's never been 2 Nintendo 64 controllers in the same room.
Has anybody been able to ever buy 2?
It's impossible.
Let me tell you how I got this one real quick, guys. All right, so I went on there. For some reason, it was not letting me buy it. Then I was like, whatever, and I clicked off anything. Next thing you know, I got an email saying, "Hey, you got an N64 controller coming." I'm like, wait, what? Nothing even went through. So even this controller was on accident.
I think my biggest gripe is the fact that it's the peer-to-peer where you're doing the online, because we did a couple online matches, me, Spawnwave, Nate, and MVG, and it was going great until slow-ass Nate joined, and it bogged it down
because it connected to the wrong signal on my router. It went to the slower one. If it went to the faster one, it would have been fine. But all of you quit after I win the one match I was there for.
Yeah, you want a match while it was like this. You're like, I
have footage of Nate just shooting a wall.
Same.
And then you died. I'm the only one who had more than one kill, and I won.
I have footage of MVG aiming a rocket at his feet and pulling the trigger.
Yeah, man. I did do that. I was just
he wanted out so much.
He's like, "Yeah, let me out."
That was yeah. It's a shame.
The multiplayer is janky as fuck, but it's still really fun to play. Like if you have a good connection, I can definitely have.
Or if you have the Xbox version, you have people like that would come over and play. That's probably the best experience. Yeah. Well, there you go. Goldeneye is like kind of out. It's just it's 2 pieces that need to fuse together, and it'll be good.
Disqualified.
But it's never happening. In fact, probably in a couple of years, it'll just get taken away. Yeah, and then we'll be like, oh, they took it away. And we'll reminisce and be nostalgic about that release. And
no. Like... So what's going to happen is they're going to take it away. People are going to be outraged about it. And then, a couple of years later, no one's going to remember it. No one's going to care. And then 5 years after that, people are going to be like, damn, I wish we had GoldenEye again. And the cycle will just repeat itself.
Maybe that's when they drop the remake and clean up.
Yeah, they're going to dead space it.
Dude, that remake doesn't exist. You never saw it.
No, they do pretend like it didn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Someone needs to ask someone in an interview about that. Someone at Microsoft, someone at Nintendo. Just drop the question on them out of nowhere.
Rare's kind of talked about in the last couple of years. They said it was done. Someone higher up within Nintendo said, no, it's not coming out. And that was the end of it. They didn't want to
so
name,
the next
they didn't name who at Nintendo killed it.
The next treehouse about Zelda, you just need to drop the question midway.
Yeah, careful, Nate. Nintendo Life is listening. They may run a story on that.
It's already out there. You can find it online. You can Google it.
You said it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're talking Pikmin 4 in a treehouse with Miyamoto, and you're halfway through, and just like the GoldenEye remake though. Let's
He'd look at you and say, "What are you talking about?"
Never get another interview again after that.
Yeah, true.
I'm not supposed to be there in the first place. Why did they let me in?
That's when Miyamoto escorts you out back and they beat the living shit out of you.
You seen his bodyguards are actually kind of intimidating, though. He do be rolling around with some pretty intimidating
I mean, you pretty much have to, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a big old. I remember what year was it? E3 2014 or 15. Had like a little area that was like closed off for like I guess it was like children to go like play at E3 or whatever. Like it was like the executives' kids and stuff like that. And like Miyamoto was there with them talking. Yeah, and there was like this big old dude that was just standing there. I'm like, oh my god, yo, this is crazy. Because I was like, hey, what's going on back then? He just looked at me like, leave. I was like, all right, that's cool.
You gotta hire the security.
Yeah. I just asked what's going on. I wasn't trying to go back there. Damn.
So GoldenEye is that. Hey, if anything, if you already have a subscription, it's a nice benefit to the subscription. So there you go.
I mean, it's still worth checking out. It's still GoldenEye.
Yep. You can go check it out. Evan, we have a Discord question over there.
Actually, I have one for GoldenEye. I'm sure it's deliberate on everyone's part, but do you think it's weird how you can't purchase GoldenEye digitally anywhere?
Yeah, it's definitely deliberate.
Yeah,
it's deliberate.
Yeah, you can't add it to the physical copy of Rare Replay because you can buy that physically. So they can't turn it off on you then, I guess. So they need
you
the
don't
control.
own it. You have access to play the game.
Yeah, basically.
This will be nothing more than a fleeting memory.
Yeah,
what next major upgrade would you like to see to controllers?
Next upgrade.
I'd like a Sony controller with good battery life.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. A Sony controller that has replaceable batteries and has good battery life.
I did a video about it. This is the new controller. I tested it. It's about a 4.5 hour battery life. I've realized this is $200. I've realized I would pay $200 for just a controller with like a 40-hour battery life.
Yeah, I guess battery life for Sony is their biggest thing. They've never really had a good battery life either. For their controller.
I swear, maybe I'm misremembering, but I swear the PS4 had a 15-hour battery life. I thought.
We used to make fun of that battery too, though.
I've never caught 15 hours on a PS4.
We used to make fun of the PS4 battery all the time.
Once they did the dimmer patch, I thought they did, but I could also
I mean, I think it varies on the game, but Last of Us Part 2 for some reason just eats the battery. I charged it multiple times in like my 20 something hour. I think I played that game for about 20 hours, and it definitely had to hit the charge at least 3 times, at least minimum 3 or 4 times. But like I said, that's just me. It could be different for other people based off of, I don't know, variety of factors.
We're getting used to, like, the Xbox Elite controller has a 35 to 40 hour. The Switch Pro controller has like a 40 hour, and now we're talking about this PlayStation controller has like 4 to 5 hour. And
it's insane.
If we can use like some of the cool third-party controllers on Sony's, like they don't have like support for like the 8-bit stuff, you know, like at least I don't think they do. I know there's some, but it'd be nice because then you can say, okay, well, at least I can just use this controller for it, you know.
What's a Xbox controller with just regular batteries? What do you get
25 hours?
Yeah, that's about right
for 2 AA's. Yeah. So it's that's manageable. Basically, it's the point where you can play multiple times, multiple sittings, and not think about your batteries. That's where I'd like Sony to get to. But there's always next generation.
I feel like the charge for my Xbox and for my my Switch controller, like whenever I see that your battery is low, I'm always surprised. Like it's always so long. I'm like, oh, I need to charge it. Whereas I literally charge every PlayStation controller every day.
Yeah. So I did see someone mention the idea of like temperature in your controller where it can get cold or hot. That sounds like there's a lot of things that could go wrong with that one. And we're trying to come up with different ways to, I guess, make it more immersive. But I feel like the advanced rumble is combined with speaker is almost already kind of there. Like the DualSense does feel very alive for the 5 hours that it's alive.
You got a touchpad. I mean, they've already added a lot of tech into the controller, right? Like the touchpad, the haptic feedback, all that stuff, the pressure sensitive triggers. I mean, that's enough right there. Then they can kind of reiterate on that. So that's already enough pretty cool new, maybe not, super new, but still new in the sense of like it hasn't been done exactly like how Sony's doing it. I mean, so that's good enough.
The bigger problem is probably that a lot of these controllers, especially the DualSense, it has haptic, it has all those features, but so few games actually utilize them in a meaningful way. And then you have the Xbox controller, which really doesn't have that many features, which people would love for it to have gyro, haptics, and those types of features. Then you have like the Switch controller. You would love it to have digital rare buttons similar to
analog.
Yeah, analog. They have digital now. So it's like every controller for every company you could look at and say, I would love to have this feature enabled on the controller. And then you have the PlayStation 5 controller, which has a lot of the features we want. You just don't see them utilized to their fullest.
It's because they all need to be mostly in parity for the third parties to actually develop for them. Otherwise, you need to get a timed exclusive or just an exclusive that goes all in on it.
But sometimes even first party stuff doesn't even use it. Not that it matters too much, but like Fire Emblem Engage, like there's like almost like no usage of the HD Rumble or anything like that.
That's the thing. I'll give Sony, like Returnal uses that DualSense like crazy. So you do get some of these first parties from Sony at least, but they kind of have to because they have to. That's like the most next gen thing they have right now with their PS5. Because otherwise, it's like the visuals are better, the frame rate's better.
Gosh, Returnal. I was playing that so much, and it just cooked.
That melts the DualSense.
Yeah, I had to turn it off. I love the dual, but I'm like, I gotta turn this off.
Yeah.
Like that, because I was playing that game I was playing that game at least like 5-6 hours a day because I was getting my ass handed to me all the time.
So I do want to keep that in mind though, Nate, for a game we're going to talk about with that Xbox controller. Because there was something I noticed with it.
There was haptics with that game. Oh my god.
Let's actually move to that Xbox Developer Direct. We're going to talk about the Developer Direct, then we can talk about Hi-Fi Rush. I wanted to kind of keep them a bit separate because the Developer Direct. All right, so they announced it. I don't know if I'm still on board with the name, although it makes more sense now after seeing the presentation, because they just went to each studio and had developers talk directly to the viewer. It's okay, that makes sense. Minecraft Legends, that was first up, coming out April 18th. I don't know if this is a game for me, but if I was really into Minecraft, I'd probably love what I'm seeing. Or this is great, I'm gonna jump into it, but I kind of saw it and I said, oh, that's fine, I guess, for Minecraft. It at least looks different than just Minecraft. So it kind of has that RTS style to it, base building, tower defense.
Just admit it. None of us are into that.
I don't think any of us are interested in Minecraft Legends, but I can't sit here and say it's not gonna. It's gonna go out, and it's gonna jump to like the top of the charts because it's Minecraft.
It's gonna do well.
I don't know.
I'm just not. I'm not. I was already old when that wave, of Minecraft hit. I was already well past it, so I just never got into it. Tried to play with my daughter, and I was just like, I can't do it. Like I just let her play around with it.
I have to at least recognize that it's gonna draw a lot of attention, or at least in general, and have a lot of downloads and probably go up to Xbox charts like Grounded did. I wasn't really into Grounded, but it was number 3 or something on the Xbox charts.
What was the other Minecraft game that came out recently? Or
Dungeons.
Yeah, I played that and it's cool. It's just it's like,
I do want to recognize Fransby becoming a new member. Thank you, Fransby. Let's see.
Fransby.
Then we did have after that Forza Motorsport 2023. No release date. That is a shame. In fact, I was so close to giving this like top grades across the board, and then they flashed 2023 for Forza, and I was like, they show up to a showcase where everyone's giving dates for their games, and it's still 2023, and it sounds like this game's coming out second half. Like it's.
Well, I mean,
that was Nate last week hinted that it may not get a date.
We said a month ago Forza might come out. Remember, Sean said like a month ago that Forza come out.
Run the video. What did you say last week? What was your quote that you said
at the end of the show, saying we might have an Xbox reaction when Microsoft doesn't date Forza and it gets delayed?
So you guys think it's going to get delayed from 2023?
No, it's just delayed.
No.
It was supposed to be out.
It was supposed to be
half.
spring, and then they only came back in with the 2023 date, meaning it has been delayed outside of the first half of the year.
Okay, my bad. I didn't know that.
And I mean, that's why they're not assigning it a date yet. They're still trying to find a slot for it in the upcoming schedule in the second half of the year. But as MVG and I discussed in our reaction episode, I don't think this negatively hurts Microsoft.
Yeah,
because
it's not a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal.
It isn't. And it can benefit them in a way that if June is the month Starfield lands, the Forza delay makes a lot more sense.
June coming in September, or it's coming in September. June.
Well, even now with Redfall, like Redfall being May, like Microsoft last year had like nothing. So the fact that they already dropped a game, and then even if we have to wait 3 months or 4 months, whatever, that's fine. That at least there's a solid, somewhat flow of games. So to me, it's like, that's why I said I don't think it even matters. Even like if Starfield was maybe a little bit later, maybe that's like September. That's also fine too. They can just drop Forza at the end of the year. That's 4 good, solid games for the year, which is significantly better than last year, obviously. So I don't, you know, I'm not a big racing guy. But...
That was their target, I think, when they get everything spun up, was a good game per quarter, or a big release for them per quarter. And that would kind of fit into it then, because I mean, even if Hi-Fi Rush and then Minecraft and then Redfall,
Minecraft's April,
Forza, yep,
Minecraft,
Starfield. I mean, I don't know if they had something else, but they could. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush came out of nowhere, so it's possible. But I will admit, I was kind of hoping Forza would be sooner rather than the second half of the year, just because when they showed it, it looks pretty good. Like, technically speaking, it is an impressive looking game. And the problem we're running into now is these streams, for anyone really, does not do the game justice, because we're seeing games that are like native 4K, ray tracing, all these things, and it comes through this crushed, compressed 1080p YouTube stream, and it still doesn't look great until you go and look at the 4K footage that they upload. And then it's like, okay, this is what it was supposed to have looked like. But I understand not everyone's going to go and do that. Forza looks incredible, visually speaking. I am like shocked at how good it looks. 4K, 60 ray tracing enabled, all of that. It's an impressive racing game. It's obviously more towards the simulation side of things. So people who have like the big chair set up with the racing wheels and stuff are probably loving what they're seeing. So there's apparently a campaign. They talked about it for 5 seconds. So
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, at the end. Hey, there's a single player campaign. All right.
Anyways,
next
game.
That was it. Yeah. So hey, it's still Forza. Looks good. Looks like it's going to be a good time. So I guess we'll see when that ends up releasing. What do you think, Nate? I mean, you said they don't have it set up yet. I think August sounds nice. I think that's a good month.
You're looking Forza. August, September, the usual window where you see Forza and Forza Horizon games land. At the absolute latest, I would go into the first half of October.
Horizon 5 in November, if I remember right. Yeah, because then Halo followed up the following month.
Before the Halo multiplayer release.
Yep. So I don't think it's gonna. That seems really late for Forza Motorsport. Like November. I'd be surprised if it went that far.
I'm thinking late summer, very beginning of fall.
That sounds right. I'm gonna move over to Elder Scrolls Online Necrom. It's launching in June. It's an expansion.
Cool. Next.
I don't play Elder Scrolls Online, and then they were like, here's all the downloadable content you can just get now. There's like 20 pieces, and I'm like, that seems like I'm not going to catch up. So that's the end of that.
I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Elder Scrolls Online, where they say you can play it as a single player game. You don't have to do it as a MMO part. You can just enjoy it as though it is a never ending Elder Scrolls game if you want. And for them to give you that amount of content and just the visual fidelity of the game is very impressive. It's such a time sink. I don't have that many hours left in my life. Mind to put into a game.
I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything. It's not something that's the thing with MMOs. They build up so much content that you have to dedicate basically everything to it to get caught up for you to feel relevant in the game.
I put like 100 hours into it, and I felt like I barely did the tutorial. That game is almost too big.
Then we did have Redfall that is coming out May 2nd. That we kind of knew that from the rumors. People seem split on this game. I noticed online, some people were like, this looks great. Other people were like, what, this game looks terrible. I think people are still viewing it as Left 4 Dead, which is weird because it definitely is now coming off as that Far Cry experience they were attempting to describe to us in that article.
Mm-hmm.
It's Arcane, Austin. They did Prey. They did Dishonored.
I never made a bad game.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm on board with this to at least try it when it comes out. It looks like it's that multiplayer experience. As much as they want to say you can play through it single player, this looks like a multiplayer game where you want to have some people with you.
But I will say that let's not sleep on the single player stuff too, because there's a lot of stealth. Like they showed stealth parts and all that, and obviously you're not going to be able to do that with multiplayer. So I think if the stealth is very well implemented, I think that the single player could be a bit better. I do agree with you though, John. Like it is more of a multiplayer experience. So it's probably going to be more fun that way. But some of that stealth stuff looked really cool.
I'm actually intrigued by the single player aspect of the game. I can see myself playing this solo, but then also getting a group of friends together to attack some of it in co-op. And I think the Direct demonstrated the strength of both of these modes for the game, because there was a lot of uncertainty about the game leading up to the developer Direct. And I think Arcane and Microsoft did the best they could to explain the game in a cohesive manner and to show gameplay to illustrate the focus of the title and just the aesthetic, the gameplay, the in-game mechanics that they showcase with the skill tree, how the loot and perk systems work. It feels very fleshed out, and you can tell this isn't a Left 4 Dead clone. This is its own thing. This is Arcane at its purest form, delivering us their next experience. And I can't wait for May 2nd. The game is now on my radar and I want to play it. And up till, this week, I definitely had my hesitations about the title, but right now I'm going in with optimism, and
I'm
really
curious how the skill tree and the progression works. I don't know if you're getting experience for every creature you're killing and then you throw it into the skill tree, or you get certain items as you loot things and that gives you a node in your skill tree. I say node because we're playing Dead Space right now, but like you you know what I mean? Like, do you get items like that and then you jump your skill tree? Do you accumulate experience as you do missions and other things? So I think there's still a lot they have to go into, and that's the problem. I feel like this is a difficult game to just showcase in 5 minutes. It feels like they want to keep telling us about it, but they're like, we just don't have enough time. So we'll see you in, I'm sure, another video that'll follow up, and then another one, and then another one. So I think there's still a long road for the promotion.
Remember how many times we saw Deathloop?
Yeah.
We got sick of it. You know what I mean? And when the game came out, it was received very, very well.
Good game,
so I don't think there's any issue with telling people over and over again what it's all about. But I also understand, that it still has a Left 4 Dead vibe to it, right? Even though it's not a Left 4 Dead style game at all.
Kind of does, yeah.
It just has that kind of feel to it,
I think the enemy selection as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vampires and all that stuff,
I think I'm most curious about how progression, I'm kind of curious about shared story progression, and I guess I'm curious about end game, because it sounds like we are going to clear out the island and eventually save Redfall. So I'm kind of curious, if 3 of us teamed up and burned through that game in a weekend, I wonder if there's some sort of end game quests or bosses, or if it is going to be like Far Cry, and once the guy's dead, the villain's dead, it's just over. I'm kind of curious if they add on to the city later with DLC or something.
I think they definitely will. Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how progression is going to work at the later stages of the story.
I could kind of see this being like Arcane Sea of Thieves almost, where we're just going to see content added to it consistently for potentially years, even if it's successful, because they're still looking for ways for engagement and monthly active users, and that's one of the best ways to keep people having a subscription with Game Pass is you have games just continue to go on and on and on. So I kind of see that as Redfall, but I'm at least curious about it to see how a lot of the mechanics and everything works. So looking forward to May 2nd when that releases. But probably I guess the highlight, the star of the show is definitely a game that we heard about this game going into it. but we just heard the title. We didn't really know what it necessarily was, especially the visual style, everything around the game in terms of the mechanics. Hi-Fi Rush gets announced, and then they shadow drop the game. Hey, it's available an hour after. It was maybe less than an hour, because I feel like people were saying, oh, it's up on the shop now. And I looked, I'm like, it's only been like 45 minutes, but it was there. You had to search for it. And then it was like, oh, claim this on Game Pass now. Mm-hmm. But it is a single player rhythm action game. And I heard that. I was like, oh, rhythm game? I don't know. And then I see it and they're talking about it. And I'm like, this looks like a Saturday morning cartoon with a slight anime twist to it. And then you play it and they're like, oh yeah, all your actions land on the beat automatically. But if you're able to time the beat yourself, you get benefits and advantages and harder hits and all this stuff. And the game is great. It's really good.
It's fantastic. It's Rhythm Heaven meets Beautiful Joe meets Devil May Cry meets Fooly Cooly. And it nails every single one of those notes. This game was a pure project of love, and you can tell through just the gameplay, the music, the animation, and the way it transitions from the animated sequences to the game is just so seamless. It's a phenomenal game. If you have Game Pass, Steam, any way you can play it, play this game. It's going to go down as one of the best releases of 2023.
Any chance for a physical release?
I know, right?
I wish.
I want to buy a deluxe edition for my collection. It reminds me, it feels like, to me, it felt like Guitar Hero and Jet Set Radio had a baby.
Yeah, because it was definitely Jet Set Radio vibes to it.
Like the soundtrack, the amount of custom songs that they made for the thing that just feels so good. And one of my favorite things about Jet Set Radio Future was how the characters would dance when you weren't doing stuff, and the main character does that where he's always snapping to the rhythm.
Like this?
Yeah.
Yes, me and my friends used to all the time do the Jet Set Radio dances as a joke. So I don't know, the fact that he does that is like so cool. The whole universe dances,
and it does that. Yeah, it does thing where he's snapping. It says "snap" above his hand. Like it kind of has that tongue-in-cheek, like self-aware vibe to it. And it is, parts of it are pretty corny, but it plays into that completely with the aesthetic and the tone and all of this. And it's genuinely creative for some of the enemies you're fighting against. As Nate mentioned, the entire world goes along with the beat. The cutscenes, things in the background, it's very weird. You start to notice it as you start to notice it as you go. And they have a streamer mode. So if you turn it on, it'll get rid of any of the licensed music and it will just play their original music. So you won't get copyright claimed or anything.
And the music of both is phenomenal. The licensed music is awesome in the boss sequences, but the original music just for the standard exploration stages.
Trent Reznor or Nine Inch Nails or something?
Yeah. Yes. Nine Inch Nails is the first boss theme.
And it's awesome.
It's
so good.
They just spring out. You like walk into a room and a lady just shows up and she's like, hey, I'm the first boss. And she plays like a cheering soundtrack for herself. And then it just starts blasting Nine Inch Nails. I think I'm on the last boss. I'm right before the CEO.
How many hours is it?
I think I've put 6 hours into it so far.
Yeah, I don't think it's an incredibly long game. It's a $30 title outright, but it's a fun game, and I didn't think it'd be that into like the rhythm based stuff. You can play it without it completely. Like all your attacks will land normally, your combos, but you get those big crushing hits if you line all your combos up on the beat. And it's pretty cool when it comes together. It's pretty cool.
I mean, if you don't care about the rankings of getting, an S rank, you can kind of almost disregard the rhythm aspect when it comes to battle and just enjoy it for what it is. And it still be a very good game.
You do have progression through it too, because you'll get essentially currency and ships and you put them into extra abilities for your companions that can jump in, and it has like this Metroidvania vibe to it because there are certain parts you can't go to until you get your companions that can break through things or go past obstacles, and there's all kinds of stuff to buy and level up in the game too. So there's a lot going on there. They said this has been in development, or at least it was conceptualized in 2017. So this isn't something that just popped up last year. They've been at least thinking about it for a while, and that's interesting coming from Tango. I would not have expected this from the people who made Evil Within.
It's so good. I'm like the biggest Evil Within simp, but I'm like, man, I hope we get a fucking Hi-Fi Rush too.
Yeah, this has to become a franchise.
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah, it's a good new IP for Microsoft. What I would do is I'd back the Brinks truck up now to Tango.
Yeah.
Be like, what else you got? What other characters are you thinking of? What franchises would you like to make? Because they got some creativity over there.
This is like exactly the type of game that people were like we were discussing a week ago, where people saying, "Oh, the AAA sphere is becoming so redundant. We need something original. We need new ideas." And here comes Tango with Hi-Fi Rush. This is exactly what people have asked for.
You know what this feels like, Nate? This feels like a game that would have come out of Sony Japan Studios.
It feels like a Sony Japan, even a Nintendo studio.
Yeah, this would have fit in fine on a Nintendo Direct.
Oh yeah,
yes, without question.
Yeah, I'd have been like, "Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, cool. This looks good." On Xbox, it's like, cool. Really?
Like this? Yeah, this came from a Microsoft-owned studio. Wait a minute, Tango made this. The guys behind The Evil Within. What? Yeah. And Ghostwire Tokyo. Wait a second, and then you play it, and everything just hits.
It's very good.
It was so funny though. A lot of people, when you said that with it feels like it would come out from like Nintendo or like a Gravity Rush. See a lot of people that were like, "Oh yeah, kitty. This not. Oh, now it's great. Oh, now it's great art style. Now no more kitty. It's not. That's not a problem now. No, now it's fantastic. And I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking about certain people. Okay, certain people. Will not name any names, but certain people. Kitty this, kitty that. Oh no. Oh my God, great game. Game Pass. Oh my. Oh look out. The colors, vibrancy. Oh, this game looks fantastic.
I mean, like the color and the vibrancy. It's right from that GameCube, Dreamcast, PS2 era of gaming.
It is. Yeah.
From the golden era, and it's just great. And I know you're going to bring this up. Had the Xbox controller had haptic feedback,
yes,
just to go with the beat, have the controller serve as the metronome.
It wants to the whole time. It wants to, but it's so limited with the basic rumble it has. And it can't quite do it, but it tries. I'll give it that. The little controller tries.
Yeah. It would have elevated it to a whole new level if the controller had the haptic metronome going on.
Or what if there was a speaker on the controller?
Right.
Even that. Can you? Man,
I'm telling you. It
really good. If it had the speaker with that rumble type feature as you're playing it in the boss battle sequences, you would just be taken back by the feedback. Like, wow,
Microsoft, you got to get on it.
But if they do that, if they'll do it with the DualSense Edge, so it'll be like a 35-minute battery life because the speaker will drain the battery.
Okay, prediction: Xbox Super Pro controller E3 this year. It's happening.
They have an Elite. Apparently, there's an Elite 3 that's in the works, and
Super Elite.
There are some extra features that they were talking about. I think haptics might have been one of them, but you still have to account for the basic control. That's the problem. You still have to account for it. Yeah.
They kind of committed to their kind of base controller this generation, so I mean, they could come out with some type of update, but that makes it even worse because you kind of fragmented things now. Because you got not even half your audience, you got like 1/8 of your audience, for example, that wants haptics because they have a fancy controller, and everyone else just has a base controller. So I feel like they need to kind of get to the next version of their hardware in order to introduce haptics. But they could. I mean, I know Phil's kind of expressed wanting to do it in interviews and stuff, but it's hard to imagine them adding haptics now, kind of in the middle of the generation. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Let me ask you, Vigi, how does that? Is that a whole other development process? Getting the haptics synced up and programmed and designed for your game? It is. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not that complicated. Like I did the haptics for
Quake. I remember you said that for Quake, right? Yeah.
And it's not like super complicated, but there's definitely work that you need to do. So what we did was I added haptics to the controller. And I also routed the audio, like low frequency audio. So when you shoot the shotgun or the rocket launch or whatever, it makes kind of a rumble in your hand as well along with the haptics. But the actual development time to add haptics, it's not really that much work. But I will say that you can get it, you can add them in pretty quickly, but making it feel right requires a lot of other people to kind of play test it and be like, does this feel good to you? And kind of do some A/B testing. Because I remember when we were doing Quake, there were a lot of people that I wanted that tested it out to see how it felt, and some people really liked it. And a lot of people I don't like this effect, and I'm going to turn it off. And I think that's a personal preference. I know personally for me, sometimes some games that have haptics are so annoying that I gotta turn them off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really more about how it feels to the player more than how long it takes to make. It's pretty easy to add haptics to the controller.
Okay.
What you're doing.
Okay. But the shadow drop for Hi-Fi Rush, good move.
I think it was
Yeah.
bold,
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it showed the level of confidence they had in this release.
Yeah, it definitely surprised a lot of people because it was being built up like it was going to be this big title maybe a couple months from now or something. Oh no, it's out now, and the polish around the game, it makes no sense for just shadow dropping because it's very polished.
The level of production in the game is top notch.
Yeah, so apparently, according to Phil Spencer, it was Tango's idea to do it, to shadow drop the thing. So again, back up the Brinks truck for let's get them going.
I saw some interviews, and the director of the game said we started it before like Game Pass was a thing, like before we were on Game Pass, before Bethesda stuff was going to Game Pass, and he's like, we were just working on it as this great secret game, and then Game Pass came along, and that's when they got the idea of like, let's just drop it, let's just finish it and drop it.
Yeah. So I guess the good thing is that if people can, if they see it and they like it, they can go download it or buy it right away. I guess one of the cons is you don't have any reviews at all ready to go, so you kind of have to wait to see people.
It's okay to mix things up, to kind of turn the industry on its head sometimes, and not have a bunch of reviews ready to go that people spent like hours grinding out to get the review ready for embargo and stuff. So I welcome stuff like this when it happens. I think it's a really cool thing.
Well, this is a game that's reviewing well now. So that's one that if the reviews hit and it was like, oh, it's a 90, we'd be like, oh, okay.
We also have like today's day, we have instant reviewers. We have Twitch. We have Twitch and we have YouTube where you can just instantly go on there and get impressions. So that also, maybe it's not so good like 10, 15 years ago to do something like that. But yeah, today's day, it's I agree. Like
I like the shadow drop.
Scary for them. Yeah,
I like.
It's probably a little scary for them though. They're probably like,
right,
see how it works out.
Oh yeah. There was definitely that gamble involved in it. And now, I guess the only drawback from it being a shadow drop is now we have that uncertainty of will there eventually be a retail release? Because I would double dip and buy it if they come to retail.
Dude, if they drop a super deluxe edition, I'm buying the best edition of it.
I'm waiting. I wanted to go pick it up. I don't have Game Pass, but I don't mind paying $30 for the game. That's fine by me. But
well worth it.
Yeah, but if I'm gonna pay $30 for the game, I would have loved to pay give me $50. I'll pay $50 for a physical.
I think that's a game, OJ, that would do really well for you on stream too.
Yeah, I bet absolutely, but I want a physical copy of the game.
Yeah, as long as you can keep the beat, you got to keep the beat on stream.
Yeah, I would just like a physical copy. I'm not the biggest fan of just of buying digital. Like if I'm gonna spend $30, $40, $50, $60, whatever, I would like to have a physical, have the option at least. Mm-hmm. So I hope there is one. I'm just holding out hope. Like if we don't hear anything in the next couple weeks or so, I'll probably just cave in and just get it. But,
if they could do a physical copy, they probably should include an 808 plush.
Yeah,
to get people in, because that cat has now resonated with everyone online because the internet loves cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very funny.
Give me a still case. Give me the cat. Give me whatever, give me a cat game that's actually good. It's really good,
The entire presentation came out to about 40 minutes, like 40, a little more than that. So this I think went over pretty well. 5 different studios talked about games. They're but less than 10 minutes each. And it went, I think, way better than when they did Inside Xbox. That thing went on for 2 hours and they did not talk about as much stuff as they did here. So Developer Direct, does Microsoft have something here? Do we now have it figured out across the board? Nintendo with their Nintendo Direct, Sony with their State of Play, and now Microsoft with the Developer Direct. We're good now going forward. Everyone has a show.
I think this is the tightest thing they've done. I think they've had reveals that got me more excited, or E3s that were bigger, but this was probably their tightest show where it was just all good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was well paced. It was well structured, where they let the developer talk about their game, showcase their game, and then you ended it with the chalkboard type of fun moment of here's the release date, circle it, move on to the next project very quickly. Nothing overstayed its welcome. It was all very brisk, and it just kept moving.
I don't think we really need that live stage presence every time either. In fact, I think most of these companies should save that for something really meaningful, like a new console reveal or to start a new generation. That's when you actually get people together, like Nintendo did for the Switch, where it was all on stage and actual people were there and they were filming with the media there. That's I feel like when you should do that. Otherwise, the pre-recorded stuff where you let the people who make the games talk about the games, it seemed to work. So that's how I'd prefer them. And let's keep it to like 30 or 40 minutes. I don't think we need 2-hour inside Xboxes anymore.
Thank God. This structure blows away everything that they've ever done, like by a large margin. I think that's not being said enough about how much better this show was. I don't even care if the games were better before in the past. This is the structure. They just need to tighten things up a bit, but I'll take this over.
Yeah, but eventually we're going to see a showcase that has Fable, Perfect Dark, something like that in there, right? And you're like, okay, this is a way better strategy to go about showing this. So
yeah, the format is better. It's direct and to the point. They're not trying to be all corny with people like live audience doing this with Greenberg or whatever his name is. Like, I'm just get rid of that shit. Like I'm so happy they just decided to ditch all that, which they kind of had to because all that stuff wasn't working before. I actually fell asleep during one of their presentations not too long ago. This one I was wide awake. I didn't use the gumball sleeping meme that I use usually. I have like a gumball sleeping meme. Didn't have to use the gumball. I was awake the whole time. It was good. It was to the point. Wasn't too long. I love this format. Good stuff to Microsoft this time, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. It's good. Looking forward to what else they have. They said they will be at E3. Go figure. So I assume Starfield presentation will be up next. Well, they said they'll be.
They said they'd be in LA.
Yeah, and then Phil Spencer got asked again by IGN, and he said, "Well, we time it up so that it's at E3." So, yeah.
He didn't. Did he say E3? Or did he say June?
I think he just said June. I don't think he ever specified E3.
Ooh, what is that? What's that mean?
I don't know. I'm just making
nothing.
Is it time for the receipts? Once I feel like we've been here before, Nate. Have we been here before? I feel like we've no. I feel like we've been here before where you called me on something, and then what did I do? I got the receipts. Like I'm looking at the receipts now at IGN.
Did they specify E3?
There were some questions about whether or not that would mean that Xbox would actually be at E3, and it seems to be unclear. I'm wondering if you could give me a little clarity on that. Will Xbox be at E3? Do I read this next sentence? This is from Phil Spencer. We pick our time for our showcase specifically so that we're there. E3 is just to me one of the seminal moments of gaming. I love the history of going down to LA, thousands of people there, getting to see great new things, getting to see people in the industry, the fan favorites we've had. I definitely want to continue. Xbox is on the board of the ESA, and we'll be there.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of marketing speak.
That was a prepared statement.
As I said, we're on board. We want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to help make the E3 successful. The E3? The E3. Anyway, you'll be there. Nate's 0-2.
Why don't we let June come around first?
E3 is going to be in June.
Okay. Let's see if Microsoft's at E3.
They'll be across the street at their...
That's not E3.
Oh, come on, Nate. Come on.
So what's
E3
the limit?
Is a very specific thing. That's like saying that
so
there's
are
Summer
we...
Game Fest because they had an event during Jeff Keighley's month of claiming.
So are we saying Microsoft wouldn't buy a booth at E3, but would do their thing across the street during E3? Is that what you're saying, Nate? That's what we're aiming for with Microsoft not being at E3?
Well, depending on how you want to take Phil Spencer's statement, them being at E3 could just be we're having business meetings.
Oh.
So if there's no booth at E3, would you then say Phil Spencer lied in January?
If there's no booth at E3?
If they don't have a playable booth at the LA Convention Center, would you say Phil lied?
I think that you can buy an E3 pass and go see whatever Xbox is doing. That's the stipulation I'm saying.
They're going to be at E3, Nate. They'll be within proximity of it. says
There's
right
no
here.
proximity. You're either at the convention center with a booth or you're not.
Were they at the convention center with a booth last time?
When
was that? Like 6 years ago?
E3 hasn't existed for 2 years.
The last time E3 happened, did they have a booth there?
Which was what, 2019?
2021 or something. When was that? 29? No, when was that? When was the last in-person E3?
2019. I was there.
4 years ago?
Did you see Xbox there?
Yeah, that was there.
Mr. Xbox was on the floor.
That was the year where they were like pimping Terminator and everything. They had Terminator for Gears of War and Terminator for.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
They had the,
it was that and RoboCop, right?
On the stage and stuff.
Nintendo had Luigi's Mansion 3. They had Link's Awakening. They had Astral Chain. Maybe that was the year before Astral Chain. But yeah, Nintendo was there too. But that was the last in-person one that they had.
I mean, that was the last pre-pandemic E3.
Yep.
They were still calling it Project Scarlet then? For Xbox? Jeez.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking at that now. I looked up the floor plans. I don't think Nate needs that too. All right.
We'll revisit it in June. If they're not there, we'll play back the tape.
Ominous Nate.
What episode is this? This is what's today? What's today?
303.
The 28th. Nate's not having a good run recently,
So the stipulation is if they do not have a booth,
I want everyone to know.
We got to make this spicy.
Everyone needs to know
face
right
reveal.
now.
Nate, face reveal if they're there.
Nate's
what
not.
do I win if they're not there?
You get your dick sucked.
Nate's not been having
Max
a
is
good
offering,
run
I guess.
recently, so he's posted pictures of Geno Smith and Dak Prescott in back-to-back weeks for the 49ers. And guess what he did 2 or 3 days ago? He posted a picture of Jalen Hurts. So I'm sorry if the Eagles lose, it's Nate's fault. Okay, everyone can find Nate. It's his fault.
Funny enough, Geno Smith's the most prolific passing quarterback out of those three. Funny enough.
Is that funny? I don't know what that means.
Just saying. Geno had the most touchdowns out of all. He's the most prolific passing quarterback out of those three. He is. He just flat out is. He had 4,000 yards this season, Pro Bowl.
He plays millionaire catch better than the other millionaires.
Oh, he's getting a big payday this year. He's getting a big payday this upcoming year.
Evan, we have Discord questions over there. I just wanted to grab
After the
Super
Xbox
chats.
show, I thought about checking out ESO until I discovered it is not on PC Game Pass. Why do you think that Microsoft has not added it to that part of Game Pass Ultimate?
Wait, what haven't they added?
Elder
Elder
Scrolls
Scrolls
Online.
Oh, really?
That's weird.
Huh, I'm not sure. So,
I mean,
they have some weird stuff between the two of them.
I feel it's a lot of contractual agreements and things.
That's interesting. I'm not sure why. I feel like if I was more in Elder Scrolls Online, I'd know. You have another one, Evan?
Was wondering if MVG had thoughts on the excuses for bad performance in DRM in Atomic Heart. Apparently, it was a quote claiming that DLSS will get back the lost frame rates for DRM. It was something they posted up.
I don't really know anything about it, so it's hard for me to say anything. But in general, I know Denuvo, assuming that's what it is. It's never been proven, but there's always these suspicions that DRM fucks with frame rates because it uses it uses processing power. But aside from that, I can't really say anything because I don't really know about that situation. I mean, a couple of years ago, I remember Capcom when they did Village on PC, it ran like absolutely terrible. And then they removed Denuvo or something, and then it kind of
did that too, right? Doom had a DRM that ran like shit, and then they patched it out and it ran perfectly.
How does Denuvo keep pretending like they don't affect performance? They constantly say that in their press releases and on their website. Then we have so many case studies of Denuvo being removed from a PC release, and all of a sudden it jumps 20 frames per second for everyone. It's like I don't get it.
Wasn't Batman? Wasn't there like a big release a couple years ago where it ran really bad and then people cracked it and the hacked version ran really good?
Well, there were there were some releases where it was simultaneous between I think GVG or something, where they didn't have the built-in DRM, but then the other versions did, and then the DRM was.
Well, we've had releases. We've had big releases where it got pirated like 24 hours later, and they unlocked Denuvo and removed it. So the people who illegally got the game were getting a better experience than the people who paid money for it.
It's so goofy.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
What a time.
Well, the point about Denuvo is like you buy it for maybe like the first 6 months or something because you want to maximize sales, and after that, you just kind of take it away because the game probably ends up on GOG anyway at that point, or no one's buying that game unless it's on a Steam discount at that point.
Let me go over to some of the super chats. Jeff D says Eagles. We'll see what happens. Matthew says shout out to Pizza Tower, just released on Steam. I have not played Pizza Tower.
Heard good things about Pizza Tower, honestly.
Oh, okay. T-Joe says, pour one out to PC players without an Xbox like myself who felt misled when Microsoft said 007 was coming to Xbox Game Pass, but it didn't. Why is that? Oh, it's not on PC.
Oh, I know why. Because they don't want people modding it and hacking it and extracting the ROM out of it and all that stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
That means, that they don't control it at that point. So that's why it's not on PC.
It's a very touchy release. Wow. Travis with the little bird sticker. Thanks, Travis. Joe says, thoughts on Xenoblade Warriors holiday 2023 rumor?
That's not a real rumor.
It's not a real rumor.
It's not a real thing. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'll play the game for 10 hours straight or something stupid. But like
Xenoblade Warriors, that kind of makes sense though if they want to do a Warriors game for it. That's kind of cool.
They're not though. That's the thing.
It'd be cool if they did.
It'd be cool if they did, but they're not. I'd be shocked if there was a Xeno Wars. I would literally be shocked. I don't think there is.
T-Joe says, how do you guys feel about PS5 games that aren't graphically demanding and can run at 60 FPS but run at 30 FPS instead? Neptunia does this. Less powerful PCs run it at 60. I'm not really sure why that happens, but it does, where games just don't look very good in general, or like it should be able to handle it, but then it's just capped at 30. So I'm not sure, but it's frustrating when it happens.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. Well, and I always hate when they say, even when it does look good, I hate when they're like, well, ray tracing is important, so we have to make it run at 30 FPS. It's like, well, I'd rather it be 60 FPS and not have ray tracing.
You know what's interesting about this generation? I don't really see a lot of people calling for ray tracing or pointing it out as much. Like people just don't. Ray tracing just didn't hit. I think like NVIDIA and AMD were hoping, because they're the ones who are going to provide the technology and sell the video cards that'll basically profit off the idea of ray tracing. But I don't. Whenever I go in, I don't go, oh, where's the rate? Got to turn the ray tracing on. It's never really thought about it.
It's just one of those extra features that you get that a lot of studios don't really even bother with. And ray tracing this generation, well, I think it's cool when they have it. Sometimes, there are some games that actually do look quite good with ray tracing on. But honestly, I mean, the amount of performance that it eats up just isn't worth it. It's just really not worth it at the end of the day.
I'm more interested in it for the audio experience, because they kept talking about the whole bouncing audio off of stuff, which was kind of a cool idea.
Ray tracing audio.
The graphics in Dead Space are so good that it like trips my brain up when you're like in a foggy room and you'll see a puddle at the bottom of a layer of fog and it will like reflect the light off the surface of it. So it's like, it makes me think like, and I don't think that's ray tracing. I played on performance mode. So it's like, all right, graphics are good enough. Just keep frame rate as high as possible.
Dr. Wolfstar says OJ has never been more correct in his life. Nobody says, are we letting Forza get away with continuing to use those horrible old car models like the R32 and S15, not to mention the Forza Aero Wing again? People were mentioning the car models because I guess some were reused or whatnot. Yeah.
But how many games is this number? This is 8, right? Forza 8. Technically,
it would be Forza 8. Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's going to be some copy paste going on. Yeah.
My thing is, car games in general just look ridiculous. Like, even I know people were like destroying Gran Turismo at one point for its visuals. I'm like, really?
They look amazing.
Maybe it's just car games just in general. I feel like we're getting that limit of, we've talked about diminishing returns. Like we're like at the roof for car games. Like I guess the environments around the cars now is the next focus. The crowds, I don't know. Cars just in general now, car games look great. So it's tough, I think, to get it much better. So I guess ray tracing. There you go.
Got to focus on the crowds now. They got to fix those models.
Yeah, right.
The Nintendo 64 characters like this.
I need ray tracing on the models that I'm driving past at 130 miles per hour.
I want to see the fear in their eyes. My car flips into the crowd.
Drifting an inch from them. It's like I want to feel them cry on my hood.
Liam says, when do you think Goldeneye will be delisted? Probably like next year or something.
Like a week
I
or
don't think
two.
it's that early. I don't think it's that.
When
It's
NSO
probably like
drops
5
out.
years or something. Yeah.
Well, end of the generation.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Well, hold on. The NSO, the account's going to carry over. It's going to be on the next one. They're going to take that game away from us?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, they probably will. Zbat says, yo, OJ, big fan here. Great video on controllers today.
Is that today?
I don't know. They said great video on controllers today.
That definitely was not today.
Well, he watched it today, so it's recent to him.
There you go.
Yeah, that's controllers tomorrow.
Jar says, with wages and contracts citing Metacritic scores, is it irresponsible to use 5-star scales, nothing between 80 and 100? I don't know.
I mean,
Is it irresponsible to use the star system?
I think companies have sort of been moving away from that because of the backlash, haven't they?
For Metacritic?
I don't like the star system. I don't like 1 out of 5 stars.
Same.
I'm not a fan. If you're gonna use a rating,
I also don't know if reviewers should feel responsible for people working on games not getting paid. I think that's more on the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is weird. I will say it is kind of strange to link pay to a website like Metacritic. I mean, it's what happens, but it's just weird that it happens. SLM says, Max, any update on the copyright strike on the video?
It got removed. It was a mistake. In my video is kind of blowing up. I used a picture in my review of the DualSense Edge where somebody at a repair shop guy in Australia had disassembled it and showed that the controller battery is actually smaller. I didn't credit him by accident. I just was editing the video fast, and he copyrighted me to get me to source him, but it's totally cleared up. It was just an accident.
There you go. Reese says, hey, OJ, how about them Cowboys? JK, congrats, man. You got us. Love what you all do. Need more positivity in games these days. Love the show. Keep it up.
Still got the Cowboys was great, but I'm not really celebrating that too much because we already beat their ass last year with Jimmy Garoppolo, so I knew they were going to win this year. But the big thing is the Eagles. That's the thing. And then even if you beat the Eagles, you still got to either face Burrow or Mahomes. So it's not like, I mean, Niners is about winning championships. I've seen the Niners win multiple championships, and that's cool winning playoff games. But I want a Super Bowl, So
the Eagles are very good. Eagles are very good. Zbat says, "Hey OJ, big fan here. RPG controller video was 100
tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.
Okay, there you go.
I just checked, yeah, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. Eastern.
There you go." Developer says, Hi-Fi Rush logo looks like the Gravity Rush logo. And then David says, with the success of Game Pass and Series S, are physical copies for the Xbox worth collecting, or will things like the 70 megabyte Modern Warfare 2 disc make it pointless? I think the series ones, like they're actually putting those on the disc now, right? Like before it was weird because you would download the optimized version because MVG did a whole 2-part series on that. Max, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I've stopped collecting physical Xbox games just because I get everything on Game Pass or I get a review code. So I feel like I have not bought a physical Xbox game since Gears 4.
It seems like they're not going to have value, but who knows? Who knows what happens in the future, Hey,
I'd pick up any JRPG physically on the Xbox that you can.
Yeah.
It's true,
Maybe
actually.
some of those, but I don't know. We'll see.
You get yourself Soul Hackers. Get yourself like a Final Fantasy 12.
Crisis Core, get that.
Crisis Core. Yeah, it's a good one. Get that. Just start loading up on the JRPGs for Xbox if you can get them physically. Yeah, keep them sealed. Reese says, Hi-Fi Rush is Microsoft's best game in years. Hope they keep this energy up going forward.
Only game in years.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, they had Pentiment, right, Nate, you got to support Pentiment.
They did have Pentiment, which is up for a game of the year.
Man, it's been their only. They haven't had much.
Shadow drops only. That's their new thing. Shadow drops.
Apparently, they should have shadow dropped Pentiment.
Colt Eastwood's going to come for you, OJ. Colt's coming for you.
Sure, just donate when you do, please.
They would. I will say, I think Hi-Fi Rush is one of the most exciting releases Microsoft's had in a long time. Like Halo was probably the last big exciting release that they had. So Hi-Fi Rush is like, to me, it was a big pop for Xbox. So Bad Gamer says, did anyone by chance see Low Level Lemmy's video last week? He took the PT demo and ported to PC, Android, and iOS, made them public as well.
No, that sounds.
I did not
awesome,
see that.
though.
That is pretty cool, though. I did not know you could do that. Huh. Okay, we will look into that. That's interesting. Played on iOS and Android? Huh. Let's see. Shinru says Dead Space Remake is worth the full $70. All right, let's actually move into some Dead Space talk here, because Dead Space is out. I was hoping Jordan would be able to make it for the podcast, because I know he's a big Dead Space fan. I've got a chance to play 3 or 4 hours of it so far, because they did this weird thing where they didn't release the game until 11 a.m. on Friday. Why? I'm glad I didn't play that horror game at midnight. That'd have been real strange. But 11 a.m. they released it, and I still didn't even get a chance to play it then until like Friday night. So I got a chance to play it last night, mostly with the DualSense Edge controller. That's what I tested the controller with. But it is out now. I've played it. Nate, you played Dead Space? Okay, yeah. Nate played Dead Space. MG played some of it.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 5 right now. Yeah.
Okay. Max played through it and all of that.
20 hours. I'm almost done with my second playthrough.
It is currently sitting at, is it an 89 still on Metacritic? Or did it fall again to like 88? I think it's at an 89 still. So it's right out of the gate, it's one of the highest rated games of the year already. As kind of 89, yeah. Okay, that's with 58 reviews, so it's probably just about locked in. So exactly as I expected, that Dead Space would just completely run over Callisto Protocol, despite Nate and Sean's best efforts to tell me that Dead Space was going to come out and people were going to realize what it's been all along, this terrible mid-tier game. I sat there and I said, all right, we'll see what happens when it comes out.
How does that happen? What are you, drunk?
This is fan fiction.
Like, he lays in bed and imagines these narratives. I mean, what do you do? Write them down like a little notebook next to you?
I heard an insult on Twitter once that said, "Stop imagining conversations in the shower, you bitch." And I was like, that's probably one of my favorite insults.
He sits there in the tub like, what can I make up tomorrow night?
You guys are entertaining. I'm just enjoying watching.
It's so good. I'm blown away, man. I'm on my second playthrough now. I'm doing the plasma cutter run where you only use the default gun, and I'm trying to do every side quest. There is so much new lore. There's so much new writing. There's so many new side quests. This has got to be one of the best remakes of any games ever, flat out.
I'm scrolling for receipts right now, Nate. Carry on.
I
know what Nate typed out. I know what he typed. There's a lot of scrolling involved, though. You basically, it came down to me just slapping up Callisto and you desperately trying to defend it with Dead Space's corpse.
You want to defend the use of VRS in Dead Space and how it completely muddles the textures and makes them look abysmal?
They're patching it. It came out today.
On PC, they're patching it. They specify the PC version that they'll allow a toggle to remove it.
No, because Callisto Protocol looks definitely better than Dead Space.
Okay.
It does.
It just does not play anywhere as good, and it's just not as good of a game.
Yeah, I platinumed Callisto Protocol a week before this came out, so it's very fresh in my mind, and this just plays a million times better.
Good thing they didn't come out after Dead Space.
I know.
They would have sold 0 copies.
They'd have been in trouble. More so than they are now, apparently, which I will admit I can understand now, looking at Dead Space, how Callisto costs so much, because that Callisto is a very impressive looking game visually. They just seem to put all the money into that because the rest of it, not as good. Dead Space still works. Mm-hmm. And I can see because I didn't really play the 360 version for probably a couple of years now. Really, I thought about going back to it before the remake. I'm like, nah, I just want to jump back into it. Maybe it'll feel like a whole new game again. But you still realize and remember parts of it going through the remake. But man, when the lighting, the atmosphere they're able to build now, the sound, dude, when you have to go in and you gotta switch the power over and the lights go out and it's like, oh wow, okay, you can kind of tell how much more they're able to do with the newer technology and all of this, just set the atmosphere and the mood, because it's definitely a scarier game than Callisto, I will say that.
One of the things I really like, and I don't know if this happened in the first game, so someone tell me if it did, but I don't remember this ever happening. When he foot stomps the monsters, there's different types of foot stomping he does depending on how like scared he is or how freaked out he is. I don't know if you guys have picked on
that. That was in the original to an extent, but it's much better now for sure.
That really was like a holy shit moment for me in this game. I was like, oh my god, like they've really put a lot into this. You know, as he's kind of more freaked out, or if he's pissed off or something like that, he'll like really stomp hard. And sometimes he just kind of just kicks them.
The stomp is hilarious in this game. Though still, they make it so like the whole screen kind of shakes when you stomp and all that. It's great, but there are a lot of little details in this game that really stand out. And Dead Space, it still hits.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It's good. The upgrade system's all still there. It feels good. Go through, get the nodes, upgrade through those, which just dump it in your plasma cutter.
This may be controversial, but hear me out. How do we feel about the blood on the wall writing thing in video games in 2023? I feel like that whole trope has kind of aged pretty badly.
Well,
it depends.
I would say it's 100% appropriate in Dead Space because the people are going crazy and they think that this is like they're going to heaven. It's part of the convergence. So it makes sense there. But yeah, you're right. In like Left 4 Dead, why would anybody be writing on the walls in blood? But
even like this is a bit of a side thing, but like even in The Last of Us on the TV show where it had, seek the light, wherever it was, scribbled on the wall, I was like, come on. I mean, you don't need to do that.
You can't like scavenge a permanent marker.
It's they ran out of markers 20 years ago. It's for the cheese. I don't know. I guess the game. I think I get more taken out by weird moments that don't make sense. Like in Callisto Protocol, you go into a room that has all these guards' bodies hung up on meat hooks, and it's like, okay, if there are zombies, did the prisoners do this before the zombies got here, or did the zombies do like that stuff is what gets me out of it. I just think, man, this game, the new acting, now that Isaac actually talks the whole game.
I was concerned about that at first, where I'm like, and then it just worked. I don't know. It just flowed right into the game.
The Isaac speaking has been mixed for me because there's certain times where he reacts, and then there's other times where the people are getting massacred right in front of him and he's silent.
That's true.
It's like, why aren't you responding to this? If you're going to go through and change the script and he's going to watch people just get ripped apart in front of him, he's gonna be silent. At least I'm saying, "Oh my god, no!" Instead, it's
when he's standing on the other side of glass and he's watching.
Yeah, he's just watching people die. He's silent. It's like, so you're not gonna react to that, but then something minor's gonna happen. It's like, I can't believe this just happened. You just watch two people get shredded, and it's just, yep.
Like he freaked out earlier in the game where the captain turns. Like he like lost his mind. Even afterwards, he was kind of like shaken up still. But you're right. In some of those parts where like a tendril gets shot through the glass and it impales the person into it. He's just like standing there.
Like, damn, good shot.
After I just saw, I'd expected that. I'm just not going to react to that.
That would have been a cool moment though, where he like recoils backwards. There's like, whoa, like so that would have been kind of neat to see that.
Yeah,
right?
it just seems like an odd inconsistency where they went that extra mile to add the voice acting, and then when these sequences come up, it's just like, we're not going to acknowledge those.
I noticed that because I replayed the original game so recently, everybody is such a jerk to Isaac in the original game. They like yell orders at you. And in this one, it's much more conversational. So like all the jerks in the original game are like so friendly now. I'm like, hey, Isaac, can you fix that panel, buddy? It's pretty funny.
It does look, visually speaking, though, it's very weird because there are times where I'm playing it and it looks great. I was like, wow, that's there's steam or smoke coming up from the ground and like the light hits it just right. This is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. But then if I go down an elevator and you're just zooming in on the suit, you can kind of see the pixels. It's very weird. Like there's this moment of where everything just looks incredibly soft. And maybe I don't know, Nate, you're saying VRS. No, the picture quality. I'm playing performance mode. It does have this noticeable, degradation.
It's caused by the VRS, and it degrades the image quality pretty substantially.
Where are you guys seeing this? Like, because I'm looking around for this, and I'm not seeing it. Suit. To me, this game looks really good.
The suit specifically, when I'm zoomed in on an MVG, and it's kind of like this brown gold look versus the, like you're just in the dark, and I'm going down an elevator, so it has that continuous motion of up or down. I can actually see like squares. It's very weird, but I noticed it. I'm like, am I looking at just this image breaking up in front of me?
If you look like around his wrist where he's holding the gun, it will look very off-putting. And if you even just look at like a grate on the floor, just look right down, it looks very strange. Nothing that belongs on a PS5.
The only thing that looked really weird to me is when there's like 6 separate times where there's 2 characters face to face talking. When people get close to Isaac, both of them look kind of fuzzy. They almost look like a video screen where the environments around them will look okay. And I even had my roommate come and watch it because I was like, am I crazy? And his theory was that maybe it's like, it is almost trying to run some sort of pre-rendered thing during that, because the other character models you interact with are a bit weird looking.
I like the game though. It's bringing me back to the days of 2008, and it has New Game Plus already with an alternate ending. So I'm gonna play through it, then I'm gonna go back through it again on the hardest difficulty. New Game Plus, get that alternate ending and all of this, and cross my fingers for Dead Space 2. We need the Dead Space 2 remake.
Yes.
This came out pretty good, I think. People are excited for it. They're saying it's one of the best remakes they've seen since RE2. I'm inclined to agree with them right now. So let's do what Capcom's doing with Resident Evil and keep rolling along with Dead Space. Then they can fix Dead Space 3.
I think the only thing I'm kind of curious about is I've played Dead Space 2 recently. That game is already pretty damn perfect.
Good. Yeah, that's why I'm like, but visually speaking, I guess they can do stuff. I don't know. They could probably go back and fix them. And let's be real, they can sell it again for $70. And
yeah, I put in more quests, redo the voice acting. I'd play it again. I'll buy it again.
What do you think the budget of this game was compared to Callisto?
Oh,
far less.
A fraction of Callisto.
Probably 1/5.
Minuscule. Yeah.
So they can potentially remake Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 for less than Callisto.
Jesus.
If they kept the budgets identical.
What was the budget for Callisto? It was like
268 million.
168
is what was quoted. Yes.
I mean, most of that was paying off like these B-list actors to do mocap and stuff. Come on. I mean,
and the marketing.
Yeah.
But that was over 3 years of development.
You saying that the chick from The Boys is a B-lister? That's not.
I'm saying Josh Du. What's his name? Josh Duhamel, whatever his name is.
Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
His name is Jacob. Jacob the space trucker.
He's a B-list actor.
I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing in Dead Space so far. I'm gonna keep playing it. I still have a bit to go on it. So good stuff from Dead Space though. Evan, we have Discord questions over there.
Yeah, I'll ask it and then fix my camera. How long until Dead Space is on EA Play?
Isn't it? How long is that usually? It's a couple months, isn't it? Is Need for Speed on there yet?
No.
Okay, and that came out in December, so we're basically count how long from the beginning of December until Need for Speed hits, and that'll tell you how long until Dead Space will hit it. I feel like maybe it's half a year, because the previous year Maddens always go in before the new Madden comes out. So that's like 8 months maybe that hits. But those games also depreciate faster than the others. So I'm thinking like a good 6 to 8 months. It should show up there. But I mean, honestly, Dead Space, if you're looking at it, you're like, 70 maybe. If that discounts down to 40, I think it's easy pickup at $40. So you have another Discord question, Evan?
When tackling your backlog, do you make a short list of games to queue up next, or do you wait until you've finished the current game to decide what to play?
Well, what I do is my backlog on the Switch, I go through because that's my system that I play when I'm on the treadmill. So that's like my treadmill system that I mostly play. So anything I have going on, even if I'm not playing anything on the Switch that's current, I'll go back and do backlog stuff there. But for other systems, yeah, sometimes I'll queue up some shorter games just to go through them. Because if I get into a 50 or 60 hour RPG or something, then that's going to be the backlog game for a couple months. So
I just choose whatever I'm in the mood for. Like if I have platinumed a couple horror games, I'll play a racing game or I'll play something bright and colorful. That's why I'm really glad. I really want to try and 100% Hi-Fi Rush if I can, just because that game is so bright and chipper. I think that's going to be my like top of my to-do list for sure.
Okay, good stuff. We want to talk about Forspoken. Let's see. Max played it. I played it. OJ played it. OJ played on stream. So he has like the community consensus on this thing too.
I done tried to play it on stream, barely worked, or the audio was all jacked up.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the audio was all jacked up. We were trying to figure that out. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't, and then I ended up just playing it offline quite a bit. Because it seems like there's a bug with 5.1 audio. Like it needs to be connected to that, or sometimes there's some issues depending on your setup, depending on what setup you have, depending on your speakers, whatever the case is. Because there was other people that also had the same issue, and my users were doing live tech support for me while I was playing the game, trying to figure this out, going and seeing what other people were saying. So there was other streamers and other people that also had the same issue with audio with the game.
I'm confused about this game.
So am I.
You know what? I guess I'm going to be positivity person here. I think the gameplay is fun. Maybe the story's a little jank. Maybe there's some issues there, but combat wise, the controls aren't the best. But the gameplay and the different type of stuff that you can get in there is actually kind of cool. Like I for 70, probably not, but I think that eventually, once it's cheaper, people might pick this up and actually have a ton of fun with it. I get all the graphical glitches. I get all the performance, some of the stuff there. Like I get all that. But like I said, at its core, there's some really good ideas in the game. There's some fun gameplay to be had. It's just unfortunate that a lot of the other stuff surrounding it is not necessarily the best. And for a $70 release, I think that's where people are kind of going in on this game. If it was 50 or 40, I think people would be like, oh, well, they'd be more forgiving, but it's a big PS5 hyped up release. So therefore it's going to get the weight of people, trolls, everyone kind of coming down on it, so yeah, but I mean, I understand the complaints and stuff, but I do think that there is some fun to be had in the game.
I beat it. It took 10 hours to beat the main campaign, and then I did another 5 hours of side quests. The game is very weird because the last 2 hours of the game is almost one long cutscene where you literally just walk in a straight line and keep pressing talk for 2 hours, pretty much, where they explain the whole plot, and then you fight the last boss. It feels very weird that they just backload the story that much. I do think the gameplay is pretty good when it comes to the parkour. I love the traversal, especially once you learn to skate on water.
Okay, so hold on a second with this parkour stuff. Okay, yeah, I'm 5.5 hours, I think, into it. Right, as soon as Hi-Fi Rush dropped, I put it down. Like I'm playing good.
Fair.
So the thing I'm confused about, the parkour is still not very good for me.
Well, so which abilities do you have?
I just have like the standard running, jumping ability.
You have run and wall kick, right?
Yeah, I don't have the cool surfing ability that I've seen people on Twitter have. When do you get the surfing ability? Is this Callisto Protocol from Square where the game is good at the end, but then it's the end?
No. Well, so halfway in that, one of my biggest problems with the game is that there's these big evil sorceresses and you defeat them one by one. And once you do, you get new abilities for combat, and they're actually pretty fun, but you're locked out of entire skill trees. Once you defeat the water goddess of judgment, that's when you get the ability to surf. Towards the very end of the game, you get the ability to just super jump in place. It's like this green electricity that shoots you up in the sky. There's the grapple hook ability once you kill the fire priestess. That lets you like start to grab all those crystals and actually slingshot yourself around the maps. Like that stuff is cool. My problem is that it's so spaced out. You get stuck with like the basic rock bullets for so many hours. Then you get the fire sword and you like that. And then you go to an area where everybody's immune to fire. I don't know. It's such a weird game. And then once you beat it, there's 30 hours of just end game quests, which are all the dungeons, the random stuff. It's very weird. The whole game feels so weird.
The open world is pretty basic from what I've seen.
Yeah, Max, you're absolutely right in your review. I did watch your review and everything, and in terms of what you were saying with the game and the structure's just jacked in this game. That's what makes it not good. You can throw aside the whole corny that stuff's overblown, like whatever, the structure of this game is inherently flawed from a troubled development process, it seems to me, because this structure is terrible. Like this should have been a Devil May Cry style action game. That's what to me it should have just been more of a Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, that type of action game. Just do it like that. Make it an open world. What are you going to do an open world for if there's nothing to do? Really, just go around from point to point, and then, you want to do parkour stuff, but you can do that parkour stuff in an action game. So to me, they should have downsized it. They should have made it to where it was just an action game. I think that would have streamlined things a bit. Everything doesn't need to be open world. I know people say that a lot, but this is one of those games where it probably shouldn't have been open world. It probably shouldn't have been. There's no need. And I know it looks beautiful, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's kind of like it doesn't. So. I mean, like
there's
a
lot of times where it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the complaints and stuff, but like I said, for 70, not so much. But if you can get it cheaper, later down the line, it might be worth something that you might check out, because there is some real, like Max said, there's some really cool combat parts, but dude, it's spaced out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's spaced out. You feel like you don't have. There's not that constant progression. That progression is not great. That's why I said if it was an action game and it was a little bit compressed a bit together, maybe a 10-hour, just go linear, more like experience like that, I think that would have been better for the game. But whatever, they did what they did.
I think the buttons are kind of weird too in this, the configuration they have from the start, because they want you to mash R2 and L2 to do all your magic. And they want you to press circle to activate parkour, which means you take your thumb off of the jump button. When I use the DualSense Edge, I actually put the parkour part to one of the bumpers on the back so I could continue pressing jump, and it made it better. I was like, great. Just costs $200. But
I kept holding my controller like this, where it actually I had to, that way I can press circle and the trigger, because you have to be able to look around. You have to be able to hit this is your dodge button, and then this is your main attack. So you have to hold your controller like a freaking lunatic.
Yeah. So when I use the DualSense Edge, it actually made it better because of that back button, but it just seems weird that the configuration is in that way necessarily, because I don't really think you even need the triggers to do a lot of the attacks. Like I feel like they could have made it work with just regular buttons on the face. I don't know. It's the button configuration, the Luminous engine. It might be time to call it on this Luminous engine, man. I'm telling you. It's an engine they couldn't even get to work on Nintendo's platform, allegedly. Like there's obvious issues in Forspoken with visuals and frame rate, and this is like people are saying this is the lowest resolution we've seen on the PS5 because of this engine. It's
F15 at launch. That was enough for them to just say, all right, enough. Like we're going to.
Well,
they changed Kingdom Hearts. It's all Unreal.
They shifted to Unreal Engine.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3
Final Fantasy 7 Remake, same thing apparently.
Yeah, shifted. Yeah, it might be. This might be. You retire this one, man. It might be.
It runs a lot at 720p, and it looks really weird. I think my biggest problem with the game, there's of course all the viral clips of her being cringy and self-aware and talking like a Marvel movie. My problem ended up not being that, but it was more of the fact that she does not care about the land of Athia. It's being consumed by this like evil fog that disintegrates you on a cellular level. And she is such a bitch to everybody. And I hate to be so disrespectful in my terminology, but people are like, please, goddess who is immune to the blight, save us. And she's like, whatever. And it's like, please take this seriously. Like she's so mean to everybody that I feel bad when she even laughs at the bad guys all the time. I don't know. It's really weird tone wise.
Yeah, the character is not endearing to people. I know people were trying to say certain stuff about her and stuff like that, but it's not very cool to play. Like when you play.
She's just.
I'm not trying to be. I mean, she seems like a really cool person IRL.
Oh yeah,
she seems cool. You know, she seems very nice. But the translation to game here, it's off. It's very unlikable and very just like, you know, where you're just like, okay, sure, you know.
Square really wants this Luminous engine to work, so I don't know. I kind of feel like they'll try it again with something, but
this might be, dude. They might be done.
yeah.
It might be time to shelve it. I don't know, or build another engine, but that's a whole thing too.
Or do something smaller with it. Just because it's Luminous doesn't mean it needs to be some type of massive, you know, huge open world RPG stuff.
That's true. That's true. You could do something different with it, I guess.
Do something different, please.
Something smaller scale.
Smaller scale, or maybe the engine's built for big scale stuff, but whatever.
I mean, maybe, but we've seen engines that, like what we had the RE engine do. What you call it?
Ghosts and
Goblins. Yeah, stuff like that. Like you could,
you're right.
you could try something smaller with it, really, just see what happens. But I don't know. Forspoken is I will say this. I think the reviews are. I don't think I'd put it in the 60s necessarily. I think it's higher than that, but it's not. It's not like a great game or anything. So it is a very average game at best for me.
Yeah, I mean. You know, I'm playing the harder difficulty. Like, there's some cool stuff to be had, like especially when the combat heats up. But I mean, if you're just playing this for story, or if you're like an easy mode guy, oof, boy, that game's a 4. It's like if you're an easy mode gamer and you're not into combat, there's those people out there that I only want to play for story, you know, like that. And gameplay doesn't matter, like, or it barely matters. Like, ooh, if you're one of those where you don't have to think and you're just pressing buttons, the game's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, watch it on YouTube. Just watch your YouTube video. Trust me, this is not worth it.
Evan, do we have Discord questions over there?
In honor of Forspoken, what is a game everyone bashed but you loved, or possibly a game that everyone hyped up but you hated?
High on Life.
Halo Infinite.
I feel like High on Life got destroyed though. On like review, like Metacritic, it's like a 60 something like that.
I think a game I've been thinking about, because Twitter is all of a sudden in love with it. Everybody hated Rage 2 at launch, and I really liked it. When I reviewed it, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought
I like Rage 2.
It's an open world shooter that actually feels good. Yeah, but man, there was a lot of hate for that game when it came out.
Mario Sunshine. Yeah, that's right, Nate.
Ooh,
what's up?
What, for the worst game?
Yeah,
exactly.
for the game that I like, but no one else does. Nate
what
just
do you mean?
Makes fun of it all the time.
If I say the game sucks, there's more people. Oh, you're crazy! It's the greatest Mario game I ever played. Yeah, it's because the only Mario game you ever played.
Nate also thinks the Goldeneye controls are good on the Switch.
It's fine. Use an N64 controller. Remap them. It's a lot of options.
How much is that on eBay right now? You know what? You're right, Nate. I'm gonna go buy 4 of them. We'll do a whole night with the N64 controllers. Let me go to Nintendo's website. They have them in stock all the time, I assume. It's needed for GoldenEye. It has to be in stock.
It's not needed. You can remap the controls.
What is this, Anthem? I don't need a chart to play a game here, Nate. Let's see.
I just want to repeat again, N64.
$200.
Disqualified from the GOAT talk. I just want to make sure that I repeat that it's disqualified, since you can't just go back and play with the standard controls and be happy. Disqualified.
You can go back with the standard controls and be happy.
Well, no, you can. But what I'm saying is that there are people here that act like N64 is better than the GameCube, and it's not.
It is. It is.
It is.
We've and this proves it. Your GOAT
I believe there are people.
Destroyed.
There are people here that if they want to go play Metroid Prime with a GameCube controller would find the controls to be very disjointed.
Nope, I just played it a couple weeks ago. Still holds up.
I would lock on and be like, look, there's a lock on button.
I agree that it would feel a little weird, but I feel like I'd acclimate very quickly.
I was playing on an Xbox Series S with a Xbox controller.
See, there it is.
I'm waiting for Nintendo to drop the Metroid 64 game on the N64 app. I can't.
You know what? I think Nate's right. I think when they do Metroid Prime Remaster, they should just have the regular controls, one stick. That's all.
They're obviously going to have gyro aiming and the features that the Metroid Prime trilogy had on Wii.
Well, I know they're not going to do dual analog setup. No dual analog setup, right? We're not doing that.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, hold on. I thought we were fine with the one stick setup.
Would be fine with it.
Just get the N64 controller.
I'm saying that if they had the one stick setup, you'd have people saying, "Oh my gosh, this is unplayable on the Switch because I don't know how to use my hands anymore. I'm old and arthritic at 37."
You're gonna die at the first enemy.
I mean, he did die at the first guy. I mean, the first guy in the dam is like, he doesn't even move to anything. And he shot him. It's like losing to Glass Joe.
Oh man.
Damn,
The guy was
Glass Joe. You
The
can't
worst
make
part
it
is he put it on video. He showed himself dying on the dam on
He's
agent.
like staring at his feet, then he's staring at the sky.
I watched this video, but I was running. I was listening, so I didn't see anything.
It was great.
He's running, like spinning in a circle, like he's caught in a tornado. He's like, "These
The
controls
Nate-
are terrible." Like,
The Nate like roasted him for 10 minutes
toe?
straight.
I don't care whatever. That's an L. I need to post a comment in Sean's that whole video's an L. It's an L because he was sitting there hyping it up. N64 this you like that shit. You like it, and I don't care how bad it is. You like it, you own it, and you play it. You should have had a 64 controller. He should have paid the extra money.
He has one.
Okay, he has one. Then he needs to shut the hell up. And I wish he was here so I can tell him this. I'm gonna tell him this. He needs to take the L because he's sitting there, Goldeneye, N64, yeah. And then now you want to play like Call of Duty? There was no Call of Duty back then. Play it like it was back then.
OJ,
Here's the solution to your problem. I refuse to use it. Why?
See,
Yeah.
OJ is the most dedicated hater. I swear to God, freaking Sean's gonna be in his hospital bed getting a checkup, trying to play Switch, and he's gonna walk into the hospital bed like, "Play Goldeneye, you son of a bitch." Turn it on right now.
No, this dude was hyping up Goldeneye for months now. He's hyping up all Goldeneye.
OJ's gonna be like Vince
N64.
McMahon in the hospital.
Yes! When he walks in and starts beating him up in the bed. Yes.
Sean has an Nintendo 64 controller and he has an Xbox Series S, neither of which he'll hook up and use.
What a
I'm sorry,
weirdo.
no, that's a L because
Interestingly enough, they're both valued at the same amount of money now.
he needs to play the game like the N64. I don't want any modern controls. No, you said N64 is the best. Play it like it was on the N64. No modern controls. No.
Oh man,
Troll
Sean,
J.
I can't believe Sean wasn't here for the GoldenEye stuff. He needs to get back here next week.
I was so upset.
He needs to get back here next week.
I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna email him tonight.
Tweet at him and then link it to me.
I'm gonna email him.
I'm gonna like
email him.
Do we have another Discord question, Evan?
We do a few left, yeah.
Okay, we can go through them, and I think we have some super chats here we can look at too. Go ahead.
New to being an internet service provider customer, would it be better for me to use Xfinity's modem router, or should I get my own?
Oh gosh,
you have something better
you just
than
said Xfinity in general.
You have something better than
I'm
Xfinity.
sorry.
Go for it.
You had to go with Comcast as well. Welcome to the family, unfortunately. I mean, really, if you're wired in, it doesn't matter too much. But if you go wireless and you're trying to do Wi-Fi in your house, you might as well get a nice router so you can customize it and set it up how you need to. It's fairly limited with what Comcast gives you. But if you're just running Ethernet cables all over the place, what they have is probably fine. You may need a switcher so you can just connect more. But otherwise, it'd be okay.
Do you think Fire Emblem has stabilized itself as a core Nintendo IP?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Because Nintendo said it did in 2016. They said it's a major IP for them back then. So, and that was with Fates. That was after Fates release. So yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah, we saw the sales for Three Houses. Yeah.
By the way,
it's up there.
Quickly, I've been playing Engage. I'm on chapter 10 now. Oh my God, it's so good. Thank y'all. Right? Yes, thank y'all for telling me. Like seriously, I bought it because y'all hyped it up. Thank you.
I played it on the treadmill. It's a very good game.
It's so good.
Super fun.
If Naughty Dog does Last of Us Part 3, would they want to continue Abby and Lev's story or continue with Ellie where she goes through depression to losing her sanity?
That's a good question. I feel like they would still switch off between both stories, though. Like they go back and forth like they did in the second one. I don't know, because I am curious about Abby and Nev's story too. Oh, that's tough.
I think they're going to go in a totally different direction. I think that's going to be all new characters. I think it's going to be some people, because there's a rumor. There's a rumor they want to like cure the zombie virus. I've heard there's like a rumor that if they do a part 3, they want to like end the story in a way. So.
Sure. I mean, you think that ended in a good way, or you think they would just end it in like basically it's actually over for the planet Earth?
I think they want to try and give it a happy ending.
Okay.
Like just because honestly, everybody says that Last of Us Part 2 is the most depressing game of all time. I think they're taking that feedback and go, okay, maybe some sort of mildly happy ending would not be too terrible.
I don't mind going to different characters for the third one, having the conclusion, and then maybe you see Ellie in some sort of scene realizing everything's over and it's going back normal, then Abby and Nev as well in some way, because then you could leave the door open for not like a part 3 like part 4, but you can go backwards and fill in the gap for their story if you just want to be honest, quick cash grab for them or DLC.
I think it's going to alternate between Ellie and modern day, like old as hell, trying to figure out how to finally get the cure, and a super big flashback to those 20 years of Joel. Okay. And I think it's going to show how much she turned into Joel, for better or for worse. I think that's what it's going to be.
Isn't that kind of what The Last of Us Part 2 was for Ellie?
Yeah. But I think, honestly, I think that was the best part of the game. So I'm sort of fan fictioning here, but I would like a whole game of that.
I mean, I don't know. For me, I want to go. I'd want to see a different region of the world, how they're dealing with the pandemic and everything happening. Because as you said, like, oh, you can cure and go back to normal. The world for them, what normal is the fungus. The outbreak. They don't know a world pre-outbreak. This is the normal. Which how she's been living in Jackson is normal to her. So not living in that world would be almost shocking.
Like, I feel like that story would be, we fixed it, but was it worth it kind of deal? Like,
yeah,
what we went through to get here.
Yeah, and then
I'd almost want to see a whole new cast in a different region dealing with the problem. Maybe America's in a different stage of it, where you have developing nations who are still struggling.
Well, you feel like there's probably someone else like Ellie out there in another part of the world, and maybe they have the whole moral thing again, but they just go through with it. They just go that route, and they stick with it, you know?
That's the thing. Communication had been cut off throughout the world, so maybe Europe found a person who was immune, and they did sacrifice her, and, you know, we don't know what Asia, Europe, all the other countries were operating during the outbreak. We only know the Americans.
If you read all the notes in part 1, it does explicitly say that they found other immunes. So it seems like it's like a 1 in 10 million thing, but the other 10 million like odds out there, a lot of them just died naturally because of the apocalypse. So I think it'd be cool to see like Japan or Europe or something. Yeah.
I think they could do it.
Could we see a potential Spawncast X Good Vibes Gaming episode if all the stars align? I don't know.
Sure. I don't know. The problem I run into, and I've had this with John, is his time zone is so far off from ours. It's hard to get him. It would be very difficult to get him on at this time, John Cartwright. So, and I would like to have him on for the podcast some point, but it's tough because not 9 p.m. here is like
3 a.m. there.
3 a.m. there. So
yeah,
3 or 4 a.m.
him.
It's tough.
Yeah, he has a little one, so
I've tried to get him on here before, and it's been rough to do that. When I had him on pre-recorded things, we legitimately set it up around his time, and it was at like some point in the afternoon for us, but then it was like 8 or 9 o'clock for him at night. So it was tough to get it all set up. So, but hey, you never know. It could happen.
And last one, and I'm not too sure. So from a security standpoint, is there a reason why the PS5 external disk drive is not compatible with the current PS5? Which
PS5 external
the
rumored. Okay,
I don't know if it's about the rumor. Like,
well, there's a revision. There's a rumored revision PS5 where they will have an external disk drive, right? So they only have to make one kind of system, one SKU. And the rumor is that the disk drive that they would be selling won't work with the current digital.
I think
PS5.
He might be talking about the hard disk drive, and I think he might be referring to PS4. Didn't PS4 have an external hard disk drive option? Like you could have an external hard disk.
It was, but it was just any off-the-shelf USB.
And then drive. You can't do it on PS5 right now.
Oh, you can only play PS4 games off of it.
Yeah, just exactly like the Xbox. You can play Xbox One games off it, but no PS5.
Because the speeds, it expects an SSD.
I think that's why he was asking. He's probably bringing up in the security aspect of it, but yeah, you do need faster speeds for games.
It expects the SSD, yeah. So it wouldn't necessarily work with mechanical drive, at least to what it's expecting, and I'm sure that can mess all kinds of stuff up in a game that's looking for that. So is that all of them, Evan?
That's it.
Let me look here. We have Shot First saying Breath of Fire collection when, if ever.
I wish.
That'd be pretty nice. Yeah. Donovan says, MVG, did you work on Power Slave while you were with Night Dive? If so, thank you so much. I am so happy to see it finally returned.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. I worked on the PlayStation ports for that game. Yes.
Very nice. Tim says, rank these 3 NFL QBs in terms of how prolific they are passing the football. Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott.
Geno.
In terms of passing.
Geno, Jalen, Dak.
There you go. They ranked it. Tim, you ranked him for us.
In that order. Dak throws too many interceptions. At least this year, he throws too many interceptions. Jalen is more efficient.
He throws a good deep ball, though. Jalen throws a good deep ball.
Yeah, Jalen throws a good deep ball. Geno is the most efficient at all. Like he's accurate, and he had the most touchdown passes.
He has the strongest arm out of all.
Yeah, he has a very strong arm. I think he had 30 touchdown passes.
He did. He led the NFC actually in touchdown passes, which was weird.
I think he's the NFC starter for the Pro Bowl. So
yeah,
or it might have been Jalen's the starter for the Pro Bowl, but whatever. Like he had the most touchdown passes.
Spooky says impressive effort from EA Motive. However, the low resolution makes me wonder what their budget was, or if Unreal 5 would have been a better engine. I think you could bring up the budget question.
Listen, the game's 30 gigabytes and it's a good remake. It's not gonna be perfect.
That's the other thing. The file size is within reason.
Yeah, it's reasonable. They didn't want to blow the bank, on the money, like in terms of remaking it. There's gonna be a few rough spots here and there. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one they kind of played it a little safe in terms of budgets and scope. Because there's no guarantees that this was going to be a surefire hit for them, right? And I think the thought is, let's make Dead Space 2 and 3 now that things have gone so well. But there was never any guarantee that it was going to be a success. So I think they just tried to keep things confined to a smaller scope and budget.
They focused on gameplay. They focused on making that feel better than anything from what I've seen so far. I played the original. I haven't played the remake yet, but from everything that I've seen, it's fantastic. So they don't always have to spend $10 billion on games to make, the Digital Foundry people all, get wet in their pants and stuff. Just like get a great game out. It is $70, so I understand it from that perspective. Like I get that it is a full price with that, but I think that the gameplay speaks for itself in terms of how good the game is,
Antagonist says, Dreamcast guy, you speed running hi-fi? They said that I'm on track 5, 8 hours in.
Are you really? I don't feel like I am. I mean, I'm beating every level pretty efficiently. I died once at the end of the Magma Factory, but everything else the game feels very fast and easy and fun. I think the thing that's holding me up the most is the weird segments where you have to after you beat a boss, it'll make you do like a short segment where you walk up to like a gear shift or something and have to do 5 buttons in a row. Those are the hardest. I don't know. Maybe I'm farther from the end than I think I am.
Tijo says, I guess that makes sense for 007 not being on PC, but couldn't they just not have advanced installation features enabled? It's what lets you mod games. I assume they're just, I'm sure the agreement that we'll probably never, I assume we'll never see, probably spells out. Do you remember when we had Judgment and that was a whole thing getting that on PC because they were concerned about people modding up the likeness, for example, of the actor? I don't know if it's necessarily that, but they probably are just we don't want this getting modded or dumped on PC, so it's just not happening.
Very weird.
Jan Man says, Wreckfest is so good. And chips. Okay. Sama says, would a MotorStorm remaster collection sell today? I would tell you, I would buy a MotorStorm remaster collection.
I'm going to say yes to everything.
Sell to Sony expectations? Probably not.
Yeah. MotorStorm would be cool. I'd play that again.
That'd be the racing game that I would buy. If I was going to buy a racing game in today's day, that would be it, because I love the MotorStorm on the PS3.
Callan says, good show tonight. Really enjoying Fire Emblem Engage so far. I'm around chapter 10. Has anyone finished it yet? Does it hold up the same, get better, or worse? Everyone's at chapter. That's where I am. I'm at chapter 10. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm in because there's a couple battles in chapter 10, but that's where I am.
I'm past it, and it gets even better for me, at least. I think that the writing gets a bit better. I think the story gets a bit better. I think a lot of the stuff was based off the early game where they're kind of setting things up and it was kind of cheesy, but then chapter 10 hits and it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then it keeps, there's more after that. So
Jack says, love you guys, but me personally on a modern TV, I'm tired of Switch games looking terrible. Am I out to lunch? No, not necessarily. I think that's probably why you see so many pro Switch and next gen Switch stuff coming up, because I think people do want it's been almost 6 years. People are just ready for 4K or upscaled image quality or something.
1080.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a flaw or just something that's aging on the system. So hey, but probably not too much longer, I think. We'll see. We'll
next
see.
year, as in
next year. There we go. Next year. Mighty Ryan says GameCube doesn't have Quest 64 disqualified. Can't argue with that. You can't argue with that.
As in, like, the N64 is disqualified because it has Quest 64. That's what he meant, right? I'm thinking that's a typo. You know?
I did love that super chat that said, "What's your favorite song from Quest 64?" And I'm like, I have no fucking idea.
Trash. That's all trash.
Yeah.
Trash 1, trash 2. Trash
It's like
2.
I didn't know there was music. I don't know.
Sama says Fire Emblem Engage characters look like toothpaste. It does. It's like Colgate. Sad Brad says Hi-Fi Rush is fun. It really gives me Space Channel 5 vibes in the best way. Austin says, did you guys see the very early footage of that Horizon multiplayer that popped up? If so, what were your thoughts? I saw people retweeting it like crazy over on Twitter.
I didn't care.
Definitely early.
Yeah.
Early footage.
It's so raw. Apparently the leaker is gonna release a second batch of footage that actually shows the weapons, since that one was just running around in grass. But it's definitely, you could tell that the multiplayer is going to be very Monster Hunter.
Sony sending out some people to find them for that.
Yeah.
Chris says, as someone looking to try Persona games, where would you recommend them on Switch, or where's the best place to try them? Well, I mean, you could try them on Game Pass technically if you already have it. You can just see what you think there. But I think the Switch in general, it being able to go to sleep very easily. Just go into the home menu and back out of it. So if you're not near a save point, you can do that, or just it being portable, I think plays into the Persona setup pretty well.
The problem is that there's a lot of talking in the games. Like there's like a ton, especially Royal. So if you can just play it kind of casually, and go like through all the social stuff, then Switch fits good for that. But it's great. Like if you want to get it on anything else, it plays fantastic on PS5 or Xbox Series or whatever.
Shinru says, asked OJ this a while back, if you could your favorite sport professionally, but you have to play on your most hated team, do you take the offer? Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the amount of money they'd offer you. Yeah, there's a reason people go to the Raiders and other teams.
Dude, when I was playing football, I was like, bro, get me draft Cowboys. I'll take Cowboys. I'll take Raiders. I'll take Seahawks. I'll play against the Niners and be like, I hate you guys. And they're about to offer me a contract. How much those? Hell, even the minimum. You know how much the minimum is?
Yeah, the minimum
$700,000 a year. Practice squad is like $7-8 grand a week. Take any one of those.
There's an old Daniel Tosh joke about how there's like people keep telling these players to retire. It's like, yeah, B team like practice league, you get $1 million a year. Yeah, I'm gonna play until I'm dead. Are you going to force me to retire?
Man, let me be a backup quarterback for
that's the
Josh
move right
Allen
there.
or for Mahomes. I'll hold the clip and be like, all right, let's go, man. $1 million on 3. Let's go.
I'll be the tackle dummy. I don't care. Give me $1 million.
Shinru says, I'm calling it now. Smash Ultimate Cross is 30 million. Give it the Mario Kart 8 treatment and make more characters, 18 more. Why not? You gotta check with Sakurai on that one.
Sakurai's like,
he seems pretty happy right now. He's doing
like,
YouTube
nah,
videos, hanging out.
Like, I'm like, I'm good on all that, bro.
Yeah, he seems happy.
Rises out of a coffin like fucking a vampire. Like, oh, you need more DLC.
Undertaker out of the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be naming some crazy prices if I'm Sakurai. Then they're coming back to me. They're me paying up. Let's go around here as we finish up. Max, where can everyone find you?
YouTube.com/Dreamcast guy. This week I did a big review of Forspoken and the Dead Space remake, and also this very overpriced PS5 controller. So go watch that stuff, and I love y'all very much.
By the way, Max, you got some people really upset at your PS5 controller review. I wanted to let you know because I know that you care so much.
Oh yeah, deep down. You know, my thing now is like the like to dislike ratio is really positive. So I'm like, all right, if someone's mad in the comments but they leave
Twitter.
a like.
No,
Twitter. Who gives
yeah.
a shit? So sometimes people will DM me and be like, "Wow, people are really offended about what you said." I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't see it."
This from Liam. It says, Nate, is there still a genealogy of the Holy War remake coming? I'm hoping we get one so they restock all the Fire Emblem amiibo here in the US like they did in the UK with Engage.
That is the next Fire Emblem game. Should be out next year.
Okay, there we go. Next year.
I mean, they could announce it in 2023 for a release next year. It's all about timing of when it comes.
Nate, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Nathan Hate. Right now, MVG and I have an episode up discussing our reaction to the Xbox Developer Direct and Hi-Fi Rush, as well as why Starfield will come out in June. We will have an episode by mid next week. So something to look forward to.
Okay. And then First Gen says, as YouTubers, what do y'all do with all the raw footage after making a video? Let them rot in a hard drive or just delete for space? Not like I'm going to use them. Some of the stuff I keep, but there is a lot that I kind of delete.
I have a NAS drive. I have a NAS drive with everything. And sometimes I go back and find old B-roll and stuff I use for videos. Sometimes I've got a lot of just crap footage that I just delete, but most of it is backed up and stored.
I do like a movie trailer cut. What I basically do is I get, if I play a game for 20 hours and I get 20 hours of raw gameplay, I'll go and I'll cut out all the good clips of like parkour and leveling systems and just make like a 10-minute thing and then delete the gigantic raw.
Okay. And then let's go to MVG.
Thanks for having me on. You can find me on Twitter at Modern Vintage G. Hello. What happened there? Someone broke something.
I knocked off the remote.
And on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. Check out my video today on Goldeneye. It's doing really well. Thanks for the love on the video. And yeah, got a video Monday, and we'll have an episode of Nate the Hate next week.
Okay. OJ, did I get you? Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube, Player Essence. I've got a cool video going up tomorrow talking about some Nintendo Switch Pro controllers for RPG stuff and all that. Also discussing what Nate was talking about with that genealogy of the Holy War remake. Got a video on that coming up as well, and why that is a game that you absolutely need to play whenever, if they do release it, if it happens. You need to definitely check out that Fire Emblem game because it is the most controversial Fire Emblem game in the whole entire series by far. If they keep all the stuff that's in the original.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Is how true do they stay to the original release?
Okay.
But by far one of the most controversial, and also kind of like the precursor, what they used to kind of revitalize the series with Awakening. So it's a really interesting game. So yeah, that video's on Monday, I think. So yeah, cool videos coming up.
And Evan,
you can find me on Twitter at Kimmerix Project. You can also find me on YouTube at Kimmerix Project as well. That's more if you're into tabletop stuff. Me and my friends are mostly focusing on Kill Team specifically, but you know, it's just fun to check stuff out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, that's going to do it for Spawncast tonight. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next weekend, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday. We'll see you then.
Boom, boom.
Dead Space.